Good morning and welcome to our 111th webcast. If this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. And so the way the call works is this is an AMA, meaning you can ask me anything. You can ask me business questions, personal questions, career questions, etc. And once the call is completed in 3 hours, then what my team does is within 24 hours, you can go to the description field of this YouTube video and click on all the questions that were asked at all the specific times so you can get immediate access to all the questions so I can save you time. So let's get started. And before I start taking questions, I want to give a massive shout out to one of my incredible students named Manas Roy. He created this book called Bonds Over Business. And it's a great read. It's available now on Amazon. I'm really proud of you, man. You did it. You did it. You said you were going to do it. You provide a deadline date and you got it done. It's fantastic. And on the very bottom, Manas said here, only dreamers are allowed to read. So you can only read this if you want to dream and think big and then think much bigger, because the worst thing that can happen to you in your life is you wake up one day and you're older and you're working for a schmuck that's paying you this much money to make his or her dreams become a reality. So great book. Great job, Manas. I've had many students write books, and the way you do it, it's really easy. And I've got a template for you. I'll provide you with a template right now. And you don't need to actually know how to use any pieces of software except Microsoft Word and a browser, which you all know how to use. And so all of my books are in 6-inch by 9-inch format. And Manas used my template as well. Manas, thank you for the kind words you wrote at the beginning too. I appreciate that. So the way to access this template is you go to my website, which is harounventures.com. And then when you're on my website, go /write book, all lowercase, like that. And then you can download the template here. And it's really, really easy to do. All you have to do is read the first page. There's no money involved at all. It'll tell you how to publish directly onto Amazon Print, Amazon Kindle, as well as Audible. And I'll teach you how to get a cover page done as well if you want for your book, which might cost a couple bucks on Fiverr.com if you want. Then you write the entire thing here, and then you just right-click on the table of contents in Word and update the table of contents. So it's really easy to do. Again, massive shout out right now to Manas Roy, one of my incredible students. A lot of times when people set goals, they don't follow through. In fact, 90% of people that set New Year's resolutions give up by the third week of January. The thing you got to do with New Year's resolutions and goals is two things. You got to set a deadline date, and you also have to tell people. And so Manas, this is textbook execution. Manas basically told us all of us on prior webcasts, he was going to get it done and by the deadline date as well. And he's certainly done it. Congratulations, Manas. And anybody else that wants to write a book as well, it's the best thing you can do if you want to get a job or you want to get customers. Because what happens is you bring your book with you to a job interview and you give it to the interviewer as well when the time feels right. Who does that? How badly do you want that job? And the same thing with customers. Bring your book to customer meetings. Who does that? Has anybody ever tried to sell you something and brought a book and given it to you? Or has anybody ever tried to interview to work for you or with you and brought a book? Nobody does that. It's free to do. And it'll help you stand out from the rest of the pack. And the brilliant thing about writing a book, and again, everybody can do it. You can just download my template. The brilliant thing about writing a book is that what you can then do is you can repurpose that book and work smarter and not harder by building up your social media branding. And so you can become a thought leader. All you have to do is, just like the Rodin sculpture, think like a thought leader. I think, therefore I am. And so what you do, and this is what I did, and please, I've made plenty of mistakes. What you do is you write your book, and then what you do is you copy one chapter each week, and you paste it into LinkedIn as LinkedIn articles. And then you can also make individual vlogs with them as well. All you need is your cell phone, a vlog, obviously, on YouTube. And this will help you repurpose your content as well. So you don't have to work harder, you can work smarter. And the Nintendo Corporation has been doing this for decades now. So we all know that Nintendo has been repurposing their older games on newer platforms, and they've been doing that forever. Like the 8-bit and 16-bit and 64-bit Mario games, like Mario 64, which is the best game ever, right? I think so, yeah. Without Mario 64, there'd be no GTA. I really believe that was the first open world concept game. But the bottom line is that think like Nintendo and repurpose your content as well. And it's something that Gary Vaynerchuk talks a lot about, and he is the de facto standard when it comes to social media strategies. So the bottom line again is congratulations, Manas. You did a great job here. I'm proud of you, buddy. And anybody else that wants to publish a book, go to my website, harounventures.com/writebook, all lowercase, all one word, write book. I don't ask for email addresses or anything. I just want to humbly help if I can, and it's free. All right. Well, I want to thank you all for your patience today. The issue I had getting live was I was actually trying to go live on several social media platforms at the same time. I've done LinkedIn before with YouTube. It was kind of tricky. And so I had some issues here. So I'm really, really sorry about that. But better late than never. Yeah. 111 weeks in, and I still make plenty of mistakes. Yeah. It's okay. All right, so moving on now. First question is from Casey, who's saying, hey, Chris, hope you're well and you had a great week. Likewise. Do you consider yourself a visual, audio, and or kinesthetic learner? You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what the word kinesthetic means. So let's go here together and take a look. Kinesthetic. It means relating to a person's awareness of the position or movement of the parts of the body, means sensory organs. Oh, okay. I understand a little bit better now. Just a little bit, yeah. But I'll answer it this way. Am I more of an audio or visual learner? I would say in general, I think I'm more of a visual learner. I remember, like, people watch this webcast. If you look back upon today and my performance or lack thereof, the one thing you'll definitely remember is the fact that I used a prop, a book from one of my wonderful students, Manas Roy, who just published this on Amazon. So I'm definitely more visual, and it's the way I teach as well. I use a heck of a lot of props when I'm teaching, because when I was younger, I remember show and tell in school. It was a lot easier to remember stuff when people brought in props to show. And I'm giving a speech to between 500,000 and 1 million people next week in Brazil. That was me showing off a little bit. But I'm using props, and I'll show you the props I'm using, some of them. Hopefully you guys realize where this is from. I'm going into the past and into the future to tell you about my humble thoughts on the future of education. So I'm definitely more of a visual person than an audible person. So just my style. A little out there, I know, but hey, man, it's fun. It's fun. And I think that if you bring props to your presentations, you can run circles around the competition because nobody remembers it. You know, for example, when you're talking about scaling your business, what you can do is this. And I'm going to go off script with this again. So this here is a piece of the Berlin Wall. I actually bought this when I was in Berlin at Checkpoint Charlie last summer at a Udemy live event. It was fun. And the reason I bought this, and it wasn't that beautiful when the wall was up, otherwise I might have just kept it up. It looked like this. The reason I have this in my hand right now is because I want to compare and contrast Amazon's business model to something that happened with the Berlin Wall. So I was in Germany, and I walked in front of the Brandenburg Gate, and that's where the late, great Ronald Reagan, my favorite president ever, if he was still alive, I would vote Republican, but I can't. I'm not going to go there. But in 1989, Ronald Reagan gave a speech, and he went off script. And Colin Powell, who wrote a speech at the time, was furious with him for going off script. But what Ronald Reagan did was he said this. He said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." And then what happened was eventually the wall came down, the Berlin Wall, of course. And then what happened was you had all this brilliant Eastern European labor that was a lot cheaper that moved west. And when all that labor moved west, what happened was all of a sudden, the cost of producing stuff went down a lot. Now, when interest rates increase, it's usually because the price of labor and other things goes up. But the price of labor stayed artificially low throughout the 90s. And Dr. Alan Greenspan, the former Federal Reserve chairperson, when I was at Citadel, a big hedge fund, he came and gave a speech to us in Chicago. And he said the reason we had unprecedented economic growth back in the 1990s was not because of technology. It was because the Berlin Wall fell. Now, we can compare and contrast that with Amazon Web Services. And I wrote an article about this in VentureBeat a couple of years ago. But I think that Amazon Web Services is this generation's Berlin teardown wall event. How? Well, what Amazon Web Services is, it's the most important software platform in the world right now. And so what happened was in late 2005, Jeff Bezos, the brilliant founder of Amazon, he realized that he can't fulfill all the holiday shopping needs every November and December. Their servers would crash. So what he did was he created 9 big buildings across the United States. And in those buildings, he put thousands of Linux servers. And the point of those servers was to take holiday traffic. And so he turned them all on. And then by January, they had all this excess capacity. What do they do with that? Well, what Amazon did was they started renting out that server space. And so the only reason Netflix exists today as a streaming company is because they run 95% of all their computing power off of Amazon's operating system in the cloud called Amazon Web Services. And what happened was every quarter or so, Amazon would cut the pricing point materially on Amazon Web Services. And so Amazon has cut the pricing point more than 100 times since they launched Amazon Web Services. Now, if we compare and contrast this with Microsoft Windows, Microsoft, up until recently, only cut the pricing point on Microsoft Windows as a platform 3 times going back to the late 1980s. So what happened was it became incredibly deflationary for Amazon and for the world to start companies. The reason it's so cheap now to start a company is because of Amazon Web Services. You know, all these great companies like Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, etc., they only exist because they run their entire companies off of Amazon Web Services in the cloud. And so the bottom line is that Amazon Web Services is this generation's version of that Berlin Wall teardown event, which is why we've had incredible growth over the past 10 or 15 years. If you ignore 2008 and last year, we've had incredible growth with interest rates that are relatively low, is because of the deflationary impact of Amazon Web Services. How's that for a prop? That was fun. All right. Next up, I've got, let's see here. Hold on a second. Oh, and one more thing when it comes to studying, whether you're writing a test when you work in a company, you're taking a certification exam, or in school, don't memorize stuff, man. Like, I got a D in accounting when I took it at McGill University in 1991. And I got a D because I was memorizing it. You can memorize stuff and do well in high school, but in university, in the real world, you can't. You got to understand it. And once you understand something, you'll never forget it. Yeah. All right. Next up, the question is, at the MBA open house, you mentioned people had to go online and pay for gold or platinum. Are applicants no longer required to do an essay, which was a requirement the last few months? Yeah. So the essay was only required for early acceptance. Yeah. So no. And I thought about the process too, because I want to accept as many people as you want while there's still positions available. It's not fair. It's not fair. And the whole crux of this speech I'm giving next week through Startse, which is the largest venture capital consortium in Brazil, the whole crux of the speech is access and how everybody should get access to online education. And I kind of feel like I was being a little bit, I don't know, it didn't seem right, because I'm talking about having education accessible for everybody and how I hate edu-elitism and how I am only allowing certain people. It didn't make sense. So anyway, there is no requirement for essays. There is for early acceptance, which is already passed. Yeah. So anyway, that's it. And this prop is, of course, Marty McFly for my speech I'm giving next week. Yeah, which should be fun. Laugh at me, not with me, please. Okay. All right, next up, Albus is saying, hey, Chris, hey, Albus. What's the best way to make a complete research on a particular sector? Yeah. So I have a course called the Complete Business Plan course. And just go to learn.harounventures.com to get the lowest prices of my courses. And there's a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain. So you go to learn.harounventures.com. And then what you can do is just scroll down, view all courses. And I'm signed in as myself. That's why the prices are here still. And you'll see one of them is here, the Complete Business Plan course, which is $9.99. So I recommend taking this. And even if you don't have any background whatsoever in creating a company or understanding finance or understanding industries or understanding competitive strategy, etc., you can still take that course. It's 9 hours long. It'll teach you how to analyze a company thoroughly. Or if you want, you can sign up for my MBA degree program, and we go into much more detail than that. And to learn more about my MBA degree program, just go to my website, which is harounventures.com, and then scroll down and you can learn more about it. Yeah, here. And up here, there's the FAQs as well. Yeah. And testimonials. Yeah. All right. And before you even think about signing up for my MBA degree program, I want you to reach out to people, if you want to, over LinkedIn that are signed up as alumni of my school or have taken the MBA degree program. And reach out to them and ask them, what are the negatives? Right? Because I want to provide a full picture for you. What are the negatives? And obviously, what are the positives as well? But there's a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee that lasts for 30 days after you start the program. So if you sign up today, then what happens is you get your money back all the way up from, we start December 14th, so you get your money back up until January 14th, while there's still positions available, of course. And if you have more questions, let me know. Thanks. And for those of you curious about the open house and what Albus is referring to, I think it was 2 Fridays ago, I did an open house, which started at 11 a.m. on Friday. I didn't get up once until after midnight. It was crazy, but so much fun. I loved it. I loved it. And to learn more about that, you can actually just go to my YouTube channel. And as of now, it's the top, the video's at the top, or it should be. I guess it's not because the weekly office hours is. But it's here it is here. Yeah. So just search for open house. This is it right here. And let me just mute it. But I actually went 13 hours. It only shows 12 hours here. YouTube won't record more than 12 hours. And I went over 10 hours without getting up once. So here it was a lot of fun. And I actually gave a sample lecture as well, which I hope you enjoy. Yeah, thank you. All right. Next question is from Saloni, who's saying, hey, Chris. Hey, how are you? Do you enjoy listening to music? What are some of your favorite ones? Yeah. So I believe that you set the soundtrack for your life. And if you change your surroundings and your environment, in your audible environment, it can get you back into a peak mental state. And so a lot of times when I work, I'll listen to soundtracks from great movies, like Inception or the first Blade Runner, or Interstellar, which is my favorite, or anything that Hans Zimmer writes. If there's anybody on the call from Germany, thank you for Hans Zimmer. He's great. Yeah, and I find that if you watch a movie with no music in it, it's kind of dull and you're not inspired. But if there's music in that movie, you're incredibly inspired. And so that's what I love to do. I like to be inspired while I work. Now, I don't listen to any music while I work that has words in it, unless it's Enya singing in Gaelic, because I don't understand that language. Beautiful voice, though. I don't listen to any songs that have words I understand. I just want something that's going to, some gorgeous sonic architecture that's going to put me into my peak mental state. Okay. All right, next question is from Casey, saying, with the one-on-one personal time for Platinum students, what is the most number of Platinum students you can realistically take? Yeah, so I don't want to go over 100 this year. Yeah, so I want to keep it pretty low, and we've had a lot of people sign up and pay already. We're well over 50% capacity at this point. Yeah. And the interesting thing is I thought we'd have more people sign up for gold, but most people want platinum, which is interesting. And for those of you interested in the differences between the platforms, just go to my website, which is harounventures.com right here, I think. Let's see here. Haroun. Oh, I got to go back to my core website. One second. harounventures.com. Yeah. And scroll down, you can find a difference between the platinum and gold. And yes, we still have silver. It's still available. Yeah. So anyway, and if you have more questions, just let me know. That's why I'm here. And thank you as always. Yeah. All right. Now, next up, and I've got this screen here, and I'm trying to. I set it up so that it's actually not reflecting any light from all three angles. This angle doesn't work that well because I've got bokeh. The f-stop number is quite low at 1.2, so it focuses on my face. But I'm trying something new here, trying to push the goalpost out a bit and just have fun with it. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Casey is saying, please show us which brand and model of teleprompter you use and others you recommend. Yeah. So I'll show you the one I recommend. All you have to do actually is buy a cheap screen for, I think it's about $50. And let me log on to Amazon here and show you. See if I can find it here. Hold on a second. And I am so transparent. It's a joke really, but yeah. All right, so let's go here. Let's go to screen. No. Hold on one second. Here it is here. Yeah. All right, so all you do, it's a 7-inch portable screen. And this is the kind that people put in cars. And so it's $50 or so. And then what you do is you then get a two-way mirror to look into. And there's tons you can get. So let's go to teleprompter. I'll show you a good one here. Okay. Yeah. So you can get anything that doesn't have a screen here now. Because if you buy it with the screen, it costs more. So for example, if you buy this one here, it doesn't include an iPad or a tablet here. But you're just paying for the piece of metal that goes around your camera and this little holder here. And then what you do is that little screen I showed you, you put that little screen on the bottom. And you hook up that little screen to your computer and to PowerPoint if you want to. And then what I do is I click through the slides by using pedals. And the pedals, and there's tons of cheap pedals out there. I kind of hacked it. They're like keyboards, and you map each pedal. So for example, this is a PowerPoint presentation behind me here. And so I'm clicking the right arrow. And that's the right arrow there. And then what I can do is click the left arrow to go back. That sort of thing. So anyway, that's how I've set it up. And I also have pedals on another computer on this side mapped for all of the camera angles, like you can see here. And I've only got 3 today. Okay, there. Yeah. Now, when you do the PowerPoint or the teleprompter with PowerPoint, what you might have to do is go into PowerPoint, into the settings, into the slide master, and reverse the font. And one more thing as well. Make sure the font is in white and the background is black. Otherwise, what happens is you get this awful reflection on your, like, let me see if I can go to another website here to show you. So I'm looking at the teleprompter now, and that's how I read your questions. If I go to a website, there we go. You see that? That white. So this is a website I'm looking at right now that's all in white. So what you have to do, and the way I've set up live chat here to read your questions, is it's all white text on a black background. So make sure your PowerPoint presentation has white text on a black background. And if you can't do that or you can't figure it out in PowerPoint, then you can go to accessibility in your system preferences on a Mac or the control panel within Windows and change it to reverse the colors and the lighting as well. Yeah. Okay. And then Casey is saying, what lights have you found to be the best options? Yeah, great question. So the very first lights that I used for my first 20 or so courses were called Westcott Basics, and they're between $100 and $150. And what you need is, just to get started, one light on each side. That's it. Boom, boom. And then get an old lamp and throw it behind you. Take off the lampshade cover and make sure it's not close to anything that's going to start a fire. And make sure you're a couple feet away from the wall so it gives you a 3D pop. So a cheap lamp behind you hidden, and then Westcott basic lights. Let me show you the model here. And it breaks my heart that a lot of these companies jacked up their prices once COVID started. Ridiculous. Okay. So let's go to Westcott Basics lights. Here we go. Okay. All right. Yeah. So they look like this. They were cheaper until COVID. It's ridiculous that companies are taking advantage of us because of this. Yeah, these are ones I bought. I bought this one initially for $150. They jacked the prices up. You can buy them used on eBay, I'm sure, as well, or find knockoff ones so that you don't support the Westcott brand. Now you see why I don't want to be sponsored by anybody. Yeah. All right. Next up, and you'll see actually with the lights I have today, I've got, we tried something a little bit different today. So the way it works with lighting is there's usually, think about when you're outdoors, there's one light that's key, and that's called the sun. That's called the key light. And then what happens is when people are recording outdoors, a lot of times they don't use lights because the sun is good enough. But they have this big shiny thing, which they use the sun to reflect onto your face to fill in where there's shadows. That's called the fill light. So the sun is the key light, and then there's the fill light outdoors, which is that big thing, which is not a light. Indoors, you have two. You got the key and you got the fill. So we did some dramatic lighting today. So you'll see that this light on this side here is brighter than the other one. And I do everything with Bluetooth, right? So this is me being interviewed if I don't want you to see who I am. But what you can do is I recommend making one side a little bit darker than the other. And I learned this from Martin Scorsese. I took his masterclass course. I didn't really learn much from what he was saying, but I kind of observed the shadows that they had him on the stage. So make one side a little bit brighter than the other side. It adds a little bit of mystique as well as it makes it interesting, kind of like with that plant back there. And in terms of the lights that I use in the background, if you're curious, what I use is I have this light here, and and these are my kids here. This here is made by a company called Aperture. And it's great. And it comes with this little cover on it as well if you want to diffuse the light. And you have to have what's called a diffuser on your lights. Otherwise, it'll look harsh. And think of a diffuser like, and I'll show you this light in a second. Think of a diffuser kind of like a bed sheet. And if you put a bed sheet over a light, make sure you're careful with fires and stuff. If you put a bed sheet over a light, what happens is the light is diffused. You don't get the harsh shadows. And so that's what I've got on these lights here. So this is the diffuser here that goes on this, okay? And this, you can change the colors as well. It does have batteries. Obviously, you can charge it. Yeah. And if you're going to use colors, what I recommend doing, and I've made so many mistakes, man, I recommend sticking with one or two colors, and that's it, okay? And if you're not sure which ones to use, just stick with blue or yellow behind you. So this is a hue of 245 here for the lighting. Let me put this back here and get back on track, sorry. But if you want to use two colors, you have to be cognizant of what's called the color wheel. And this is something that Sir Isaac Newton discovered after he discovered gravity. We floated before that. I'm sorry. Bad dad humor. But what Isaac Newton did was he put some light through a prism, through glass. And what he found happened was this. And this will help you with graphics design a lot. Color wheel. Sorry. Couleur wheel. I'm Canadian, I have to spell it right. Yeah. So here's the color wheel here. So Isaac Newton, he put some light into a glass prism. And that was right before he founded Pink Floyd and wrote Dark Side of the Moon. But what happens is when you put light through a prism, you see the color wheel. And so always pick colors that are opposite each other on this color wheel. So if you're going to have blue or purplish, make sure it's orange or yellowish behind you. That works out beautifully. These are complementary colors. Opposites attract. And you'll see with a lot of in candy stores, when it comes to appealing to kids, the marketers do that as well. A lot of times you'll have opposite colors here. Okay, and even with soda, for example, 7-Up has got green and red. Soda's Mountain Dew. Soda's Krispy Kreme. That sort of thing. Yeah. So anyway, look for that in advertising, and think about it that way as well when you're putting graphics on your slides and you're not sure what colors to use. Stick with one color, or if you're going to do two, then make sure that you use the color wheel as well. Yeah. And sorry for my awful dad humor. It's just, it's what happens when you get old. And you repeat jokes when you get old too, because the older I get, the better I was. Okay. All right. Next question is Manas is saying, good morning, my dear mentor, and hope all is well. And I have to hold up your book you just published as well, brother. So Manas is from India. He just published his book. I bought it on Amazon. You can never send me books, people. I have to buy your books and support you and write reviews as well and help you and profile it on the air as well. So this is one of the many books my students have written using my template, which you can get at harounventures.com/writebook. And Manas is writing here, week number 111. What a lucky number. It's been 25 weeks since I joined you in this webcast. Thank you. You're most welcome. And thank you for joining us as well. And congrats again on this book. And your mom must be incredibly proud as well. Yeah. And I read your foreword. Thank you for that. Yeah. And then Manas wrote, can I please have a one-on-one with you? Please and thanks. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I'd love to do it, but I'm absolutely jammed. And I get requests all the time. And if I say yes to one, then other people will get kind of upset. I'm so sorry. Yeah. I love you though, man. And ask me as many questions as you want to all the time here. Always, please. Thank you. Okay, next up is Casey, who's saying, how do you handle situations where a business or a business owner jumps through hoops to get business, but once they receive payment, their level of customer service drops? Yeah. I have seen this all the time. Like a couple of years ago, there's a wealth manager that was highly recommended by friends of mine that have way more money than I ever will. And so I love to manage my own money and stocks and stuff, but I gave him a bit to kind of manage, see what he would do. And what happened was he sold us so hard. And when he started doing it, he then gave it all to his son and he did nothing. Right. And so I think a company is, of course, I canceled that service, but a company is only as good as its customer service. Yeah. So, it's kind of like before you buy a course on a platform like Udemy, if the rating isn't, say, 4.5 or higher, you don't buy it. And quite often, if ratings are low, it's because customer service sucks. Like, we don't answer questions for you, which doesn't occur with my courses. So always look at ratings first for anything you're going to buy from a customer service perspective. And if you have your own company, you have to be long-term greedy and put the customer first, and always think about the lifetime value of a customer. So if you're not making very much money from a customer now, just do a discounted cash flow analysis of how much money that customer is going to pay you over time in the long run. And we do a lot of case studies on that, especially with the Coca-Cola Corporation in my MBA degree program. Yeah. But I would, what I would do if you're getting really poor customer service, just call and ask for a refund or a rebate, or complain. If you don't complain, if it's warranted, of course, you'll never get anything you want in life. It's kind of like when I used to teach during the evenings in universities, in MBA school and undergraduate business programs. The students that would ask for an increase in their grades on tests, if it was warranted, I usually gave them a bump up of 5 or 10%. And you remember that when you were younger, whenever you went to complain to a teacher, they would bump up your grade, not all the time, but if it was warranted. Ask and you'll receive. It's prophetic and it's been true since the beginning of time. And that is the whole crux of networking. And you'll never get anything you want in life unless you learn how to network. You can read my networking book for free. Here it is here. Just go to my website, which is harounventures.com. network.com and download it for free. Yeah. Your network is your net worth, and relationships are more important than product knowledge. Yeah. All right, next up, Manas is saying, greetings from my side. Course number 2 is live. Please do see that the course is 100% free. And as far as the paid course is concerned, I post a 100% free coupon. Please do use it. This is for everyone. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. And you wrote here that you post a webcast, a link in the webcast. Unfortunately, what YouTube does outside of my control is whenever you post a link, they strip it out. Yeah. So it's something YouTube does, but I don't. But I actually purchased your course, your first course as well. So thank you, Manas. And so Manas's name is Manas Roy. He published a course on Udemy, and 2 courses now. And he also published this book as well recently. So congrats again, Manas. And again, I'm really touched by the foreword. Thank you that you wrote in there. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Oh my goodness. Manas is saying, I'm announcing this on your platform right now. My second book is coming out before December 10th, 2020. Good for you, man. You set a goal, you set a deadline date, and you vocalized it as well. And that's why you're successful, and you followed through with your previous book and Udemy courses and your next one. That's amazing. I've never done 2 books in 1 year. That's awesome. I'm not surprised that you've done this. Yeah, you are exceptional. And then Pratik is saying, Manas, bro, your book was very nice. I am your fan. I've read half of it. And then that's awesome. I love a sense of community you all have here. And in my MBA degree program, the sense of community is amazing. And we use Slack, and my students use Zoom as well with each other and with me. And it's been fun. It's been awesome. And the reason why, if you're curious, the reason why I have that timer up there is because after this call is done, I'm doing MBA student office hours for my platinum and gold students. And then after that today, I have lots of one-on-one meetings. And I do 20-minute one-on-ones. And my students get 3 hours worth of one-on-ones throughout the year as well. Yeah, so that's why the timer is there. All right, and then Pratik is saying my book will come out in May of 2021. Awesome. I will remember that, Pratik. And when it comes out, just like with Manas's book, I will order it. And I'll profile it here on the air. And congrats in advance. I love it. I love it. And I challenge all of you, I say with love in my heart, to document on this webcast when your book is going to come out. It doesn't cost you anything to make a book. Yeah. And it feels so good when you publish it and you put the forward in dedicated to my parents. Yeah. All right. Okay, so Manas is saying, by the way, if the Standard & Poor's 500 index, and by the way, the S&P 500 is a collection of 500 stocks that broadly represents the U.S. Economy, meaning stocks that are on the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange. And the question is, by the way, if the S&P 500 includes only the top 500 companies, what about the rest? There's a million coming public, but only 500 are included. Why? Yeah. So the 500 stocks in the S&P 500, and I'll show this to you as well, they represent the U.S. economy and the U.S. markets. And every now and then they rebalance, meaning they add new stocks and take out other ones. And when they rebalance, what happens is it causes stocks to go up or down a lot because these big exchange-traded fund companies are buying or selling more stocks to mimic or mirror the index. So the SPY, this is an index fund version of the S&P 500, an exchange-traded fund. Don't buy mutual funds or rip-off because they'll get you on fees. And you'll see here that with the SPY here, that's the ticker. If you go to the profile, you'll see it's 0.09% fee per year, which is really, really, really good. Really low. Yeah. And if you go to holdings, we can look at the breadth and depth of this index and the U.S. economy. Before I look at individual stocks, what I'll do is I'll actually go and look at the sectors. Okay. So we can see here the biggest sector in the U.S. economy is technology. If you look at countries like Canada, Brazil, or Australia, they're very natural resources rich. So it's a little bit different mix shift there. With the U.S. economy, number one, 25% is tech. And then number two is healthcare. And I'm sure this has gone up a lot in the past 6 months for obvious reasons, COVID, et cetera. And then you've got financial services, cyclicals, which are machinery companies that go up and down in value based on the cyclical nature of the economy, like Caterpillar, ticker CAT. Okay, and I can go through the rest if you care. And if we go down here are the top 10 holdings. So the largest position in the S&P 500 index as of now is Apple at about 7% of assets. Then you've got Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, very tech heavy, as you can tell. The Google company entities here, Berkshire, which is Warren Buffett's mutual fund, so to speak, which is basically a collection of there's a lot of insurance companies in here, like Geico, right? Like 28% of Berkshire's fund is insurance companies. Then you got J&J Healthcare Company, Procter & Gamble, which is a retail company, consumer staples, and then Visa, of course, the payment company based here in San Francisco. So that's the S&P 500. And whenever, like sometimes what Standard & Poor's, the company that manages that index, sometimes they'll change which companies are in that index. And they do it because sometimes they feel that, well, this company, Tesla, represents the U.S. economy now a little bit more so than Ford does. So maybe they'll put more Tesla stock in and take a little bit of Ford away. They'll rebalance every now and then, which causes stocks to go up and down. Yeah. But if you want to look at other indexes bigger than the S&P 500, there's the Wilshire index. There's plenty of them. Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. And Manas wrote, thanks, my dear mentor, for answering my questions. You're most welcome, please. Then you wrote, God bless you and your family forever and ever. Thank you. Just keep inspiring and motivating us for another gazillion years. Thanks. Stay hungry, stay foolish, which is a great quote from Steve Jobs. And I've got this poster up here with Steve Jobs giving a speech at the intersection of, he put this up there, liberal arts and technology. That's what Apple is. It's at the intersection of liberal arts and technology. And I love it because he was, God bless him, so creative. And I love to try and be creative as much as I can. Whenever I teach, I feel like I have a blank palette, and it's more fun that way. If you can be creative in business, it's just more fun. Yeah. All right. Next up, we've got Udaya saying, hi, Chris. I'm one of your Udemy students, and I've binge watched your personal finance and financial analyst courses. Thank you. Thank you. And you'll love this, this shirt I'm wearing today. Hopefully you recognize it. It's from my complete financial analyst course, where you rotate through a pretend company called Morgan Haroun Sachs. And here's my shirt right here, the company name as well. And just for fun, I want to show you. So I went to Prague, the Czech Republic, to actually make this, to make a promotional trailer for this. And let me just show you really, really quickly. I think you guys will get a kick out of this. Thanks. Welcome to MHS. Congratulations! MHS stands for Morgan Haroun Sachs, which is the world's #1 pretend finance company. Come with me. You will go through our Financial Analyst Training Program Bootcamp. Here you will learn a lot about finance and investing, with no theory. You will rotate through the many divisions of our firm, and we will discuss how to excel in 14 different financial analyst roles. I will also help you understand which finance role you're most passionate about, and how to get hired and promoted in the industry. You will deal with the employees and clients of our firm in edutaining, meaning entertaining and educational interactive case studies, including how an IPO works, how to manage risk, and how to manage a portfolio. You will create incredible investment research reports that will impress the heck out of anyone in the finance industry. This course is for anyone who wants to be a financial analyst, or a better investor, stock picker, portfolio manager, and more. No prior experience is necessary. It includes a comprehensive Excel template to help guide you through our training program. In addition, I will teach you Excel skills so you can model financial statements and value companies from scratch. This course is based on my many years of experience. I'm an MBA graduate from Columbia University. I've gone through the Global New Hire Financial Analyst Training Program at Goldman Sachs in New York, London, and Tokyo. I've worked for top hedge funds, and I even started my own hedge fund and venture capital firms. This course is more than 22 hours long. This is the most thorough financial analyst and investing course available on the market. The student reviews have been amazing. Welcome to the Morgan Haroun Sachs training program. This will be a lot of fun. I'll see you in the morning. All right, and so this shirt I'm wearing right now is from that course, Morgan Haroun Sachs, with an asterisk. And the asterisk says, a very long and not so rich history since 2017. I had a lot of fun with that one. And we recorded that in Prague as well. Big shout out to Adad Warda for doing a great job with that. All right, and so Udaya is saying, I'd like to get into the venture capital space. What resources do you recommend to get some experience, also to volunteer or do a fellowship or internship at a venture capital firm? Yeah, it's a great question. So the first thing I'll say about venture capital is that it's not, first of all, you don't make as much money as people think. And when you do, it takes a long time because venture capital cycles are brutal. It's like real estate, but worse. Because you can't get out of positions. And so you get paid every 10 or 15 years or so. And so I have a very good friend who's a very senior partner. Turn my phone off here, sorry about that. Who's a senior partner at the largest venture capital firm in the world. And he finally just got his first bonus check recently. And he was there for like 10 or 15 years. So it's hard. The top 10 firms make the most. And especially the number one firm, which is Sequoia. Now, if you work hard and you network aggressively and you get a job at a venture capital firm, you won't be able to advance and become partner unless you can sit on boards. And a lot of times, founders of companies that you want to invest in, they won't select you to sit on their board if you don't have startup experience, like you haven't started a company before. And the reason is because when you're in the thick of it, the battles of business and whatnot, and sitting on a board, the founder's going to ask you for advice. And so whenever I've sat on boards, and I've sat on lots of them, I see myself as a prosthetic extension of the management team. I feel like I work for them. Yes, I have a fiduciary duty to report to my investors how the company is doing if I can disclose it. But I want to be able to help as much as I can. And so without having startup experience, having succeeded and failed or both at startups, it's a lot harder to win deals and to be able to sit on boards. And so what ultimately happens is if you network aggressively and you get that coveted job in venture capital, if you don't have startup experience, there'll be like a glass ceiling. You won't be able to progress enough. Yeah. So I recommend doing venture capital if you want to. When you're older or after and maybe you've already started a couple companies, but I recommend doing it after you've started several companies as well. So you can help the entrepreneur grow their business. Yeah. All right. Now, in terms of learning more about the industry, there's a great website called VentureBeat. It's probably the only one I'd really recommend. And if you go to VentureBeat, you can just read articles on big venture deals, etc. And search for my name if you want. I've written a bunch of columns there as well, which is fun. Yeah. All right. Next up, Michael is saying, Chris, your information has boosted my confidence and ambitions beyond what I could do on my own, meaning health hacks, etc., which are working very well. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. God bless you. I appreciate that. Yeah. And the health hacks that I use. So I always recommend that people talk to a doctor before looking at any of my biohacks. I biohack a lot. And what I do actually is I have, I bought a Ninja Bullet. I think you can get them for like $48 now. It's a blender. And I actually bought 7 of these things, one for each day of the week. And so what I do is I put every antioxidant you can think about in here. I put a lot of acai in here, great South American fruit, Brazilian fruit. And this helps to keep me sharp so I can speak gooder and stuff on these calls. And so I have every antioxidant I can think about. I blend this the morning of whatever. So yeah. Anyway, so and if you're curious about what else is in there, just please let me know. Thank you. All right. But you are what you eat. And now that everybody's eating organic food, you are what you eat eats, I guess. Yeah. Okay. And Michael, great to have you here. Thank you, buddy. Next up is Haroun is saying, good morning, Chris. Good morning to you too. Samina, who's joining us in our Platinum program, starting December 14th, I think. Yes, December 14th. Samina is saying, hello, Chris. I hope all is well. Likewise. I will be mostly quiet today, but I will be here nonetheless, as I am actually looking for a new apartment. I'm so excited to live with my best friend and the puppy. I love it. I love it. And we got a kitty cat, as many of you know. I brought her on the air a couple of weeks ago. And so we got her, I think it was 2 Fridays ago. She was this small. It's breaking my heart, dude. She's like growing already. She's like this big now. But she's really, really hyper. And I had to keep my bedroom shut last night, the door, because she keeps trying to come in, and she gets hyper at night. But it's so fun. I never thought a kitty cat could bring me so much joy. Yeah. Almost as much joy as these kids here. No, I'm just kidding. Kids are better, obviously. But cats don't talk back. So maybe cats are better. I don't know. No, kids are better. Yeah. Excellent. Cool. And Asamina is starting a video game company as well. And I'm going to do whatever I can to humbly help. I will walk through walls for you in the Platinum program to make sure that I do my part to help as much as I can, make you incredibly successful. And watch out, Rockstar, because we've got a better Rockstar when it comes to video games here. Of course, Rockstar is a parent company or studio that makes Grand Theft Auto, which I still play. All right. And then Michael is saying, if I have a detailed plan to disrupt an industry, is it better to try to get financing for a full 5-year plan, or to start small and work year by year? Yeah. So I would start small initially. Yeah. And write your business plan too, Michael. Like take my complete business plan course, or sign up for my MBA degree programs. I put you through a very comprehensive venture capital boot camp in the 3rd semester. There's 4 semesters in that 1-year program. But write a detailed business plan first, because failing to plan is planning to fail. And I'm amazed at how many people start companies, which is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make. I'm amazed that so many people start companies and they don't bother writing a business plan. And so I humbly believe that my business plan course can help everybody. So make sure you write a detailed business plan first. And when it comes to strategic planning with respect to the roadmap of your product portfolio longer term, on that slide in the business plan and with the financial model that I teach you how to build from scratch, you'll have a better understanding of what your financial needs will be longer term. So that will be kind of a qualitative analysis of your product roadmap. Then you'll tie that in, I teach you how, with the financials. And when you create the financial statements at the end of each quarter or year or month, you'll see in the financial statements that we forecast, you'll see what your cash deficit is in the current year, next year, etc. And that's how much money you should look to raise. Now, if you start the company and you've raised a bit of money and it's going well and you're like, oh my God, I'm all in, then I recommend this. Always raise as much money as you can when you can, because raising money is a massive distraction. And dude, never get a loan, because banks are chicken. And if you screw up, whatever, they'll call you on the loan, and basically they can cause your company to go bankrupt. Obviously, register your company name as well. Banks are chicken. I want you to raise money from high net worth investors, not venture capital firms yet, if you're just starting. How do you do it? Read my book. Go to my website, harounventures.com, download my networking book, because it'll teach you how to network and get meetings with high net worth investors. And the reason I mentioned high net worth investors initially and not venture capital firms is because the sales cycle with high net worth investors is quite short. With venture capital firms, the sales cycle can take months and months and months and months and months. And the problem is, in the institutional investment world, if you get meetings with big funds, it doesn't mean that you're going to get, that doesn't mean there's a good chance you're going to get money from them, because these big funds, a lot of times the analysts have to take 700 meetings every year. That's 3 per day, roughly, work days. And so you become a check mark as well. I do believe that if you raise money from high net worth investors by networking aggressively, the chances of you being able to raise money goes up a lot. Yeah. And relationships are more important than product knowledge in business, because your network is your net worth. Yeah. And when you start a company, people don't realize how incredibly distracting raising money can be. It's brutal, man. Because if you work in a big company right now and you do skill X and you're very good at skill X, and you think to yourself, I'm making so much money for this darn firm doing skill X, I'm going to start my own company so I can do skill X and make more money myself. Then you start your own company and you realize, oh my goodness, I didn't understand how good I had it at that big company. I'm not convincing you not to do it, but just hear me out. I didn't realize how good I had at that big company. I never had to even think about raising money or having somebody in HR or operations or somebody selling my product or doing R&D. You're a jack of all trades and you start your own business. And failing to plan is planning to fail. And I think your chances go up materially of being successful if you write a business plan. So take my complete business plan course or sign up for my MBA degree program, where I do a very, very in-depth venture capital boot camp in the 3rd of 4 semesters. Okay. All right. And Naveed is saying, hey, Chris, how do you network with senior management when you're working from home and have little interactions with them? Oh, what a great question. I love that. I love that. Yeah. That's a challenging one. Yeah. So when you're networking in general in the pre-COVID world, for example, it's not that hard to get meetings by applying the methodologies I teach in my book, which you can get from my website for free. But when you're networking in the pre-COVID world, a lot of other people are trying to network as well. So you have competition. In the post-COVID world, fewer people are trying to network using Zoom, right? So there's less competition. So what you can do is find people in your company. And if you take my MBA degree program, I go into this in a lot more detail. And if you're in my platinum program, I personally write your entire LinkedIn profile myself. That's right from scratch. Not anybody on my team. It's me. I do it. But the best way to network is to find somebody. Well, first of all, have a great LinkedIn profile, which I'll do personally for you in my program. But the best way to network is find somebody in your company that has something in common with you. Reach out to them over the corporate email system, or if they're not in your company, reach out through an email and mention, keep it short. Subject line is maybe hi. And in the message you say, I'm going to make this up, Naveed, hope all is well. I'm also from Mississauga. That's where I'm from. And I also went to the Toronto French School. That's where I went to school. I didn't speak English in school until the 5th grade. Please let me know if you have time for a meeting. You keep it short. You say, please, thank you. And you mention 2 things you have in common. And people want to help you, especially if you have something in common with them as well, because they see you, if you're younger than them, they see you as themselves when they were much, much younger. And in hindsight, they would have loved to have somebody just like them helping them. Don't say why you want to meet or do a Zoom meeting, whatever it is. Just say, please let me know if you have time for a quick Zoom call. They'll say yes. They'll say yes. If you tell them why you want to meet, they might not reply, or they might feel bad and say, oh, I don't think I can help you. And when you do get that meeting with them, and you will, if you network aggressively, it's like dating. You have to ask over and over again. If you're like me, you had to ask a billion times. But when you do get that meeting, for the first 10 minutes, don't jump into business. It's a big rookie mistake. I want you to bond before business. I want you to talk about what you have in common. Is that great souvlaki restaurant called John Anderson still open on Dundas Street in Mississauga? It's my favorite restaurant in the world, by the way. Yeah. Or is that Tim Hortons still in the basement of the concourse of the Bank of Montreal building? That sort of thing. Whatever you have in common with them based on where you lived, etc. And then after 10 minutes of bonding with them, bond before business. After 10 minutes of bonding with them, then what will happen is they'll very politely say, why are we meeting? And that's when you ask for advice. Yeah. And people want to help you. Ask and you will receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. People want to help you. And you can't get ahead in life without getting mentoring from people that have already done it. Everybody needs a Yoda. And, when one teaches, two learn. So you'll be amazed how many people want to help you if you ask, because most people don't ask. Okay. All right, next up, Naveed is saying, can you help me with what are problem-solving skills and how to learn those? Yeah. It's kind of tough to answer that one. But what I'll say is quickly this. Every class you take, every business class you take, and if you already have a business degree, think about this. After every class you've taken, think of one framework you've learned in that class you can apply to the business world. So if it's a strategy class, maybe it's the Porter 5 Forces model. If it's a marketing class, maybe it's the Boston Consulting Group Matrix. And I cover all this stuff in my MBA degree program. If it's an accounting class, it's a framework for developing financial statements, that sort of thing. And the great thing about frameworks is they're crutches you can fall back on when you're being interviewed. So for example, let's say that you're being interviewed and somebody asks you a question about, a business case. The way you answer it is you have a crutch to fall back on, which is a framework. For example, you can use the Swot analysis. So when somebody asks you, what are your thoughts on process X? You can say, in terms of this is SWOT, okay? In terms of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, let me kick off with the strengths. The strengths of process X are yada, yada, yada. Moving on to the weaknesses. The weaknesses are yada, yada, yada. In terms of the opportunities could be yada, yada, yada. And lastly, the threats are as follows. And the bottom line is blah, blah, blah. So what I just did there was I provided you with a framework that people use in business, a SWOT analysis. And I bought myself time. How did I buy myself time? Well, by saying what the framework is in terms of the SWOT analysis, I'll kick it off with the strengths. As I'm saying that, I'm thinking what the answer is going to be. And it's kind of like teachers, what they do is they actually, a lot of times they will repeat the question, and they repeat the question so they can buy time to think about the answer. And so when you use a framework like the SWOT analysis, it shows a couple things. It shows you're thoughtful in your approach to answering the question. It shows you are organized with a framework, and it also buys you time. And those are crutches. And you'll notice I use transition words as well, like in terms of, moving on to. And if you ever feel like you're rambling, which happens to me, then immediately say the bottom line is, and then conclude your thought process. Yeah. Okay, next question's from Naveed, which is, apart from networking and problem-solving skills, what are key skills for the future to be successful? Yeah. So I would say technology skills. So really understand what the next generation technologies are that the younger generation is using. Observe the younger generation. I look at my three sons, and they don't watch television. They've been glued to YouTube for years. So jump on the YouTube bandwagon. And maybe the next one is TikTok. I don't know. But always identify what the next generation technologies are from a social media perspective and embrace them. And YouTube is the only gold rush in history that costs you nothing to make the product. And YouTube is also the only gold rush in history where you can potentially get access to billions of customers immediately for free. So what I recommend doing is trying to find out what the next YouTube is going to be. And I think we're all going to look back a decade from now and say, darn it, I wish I made more YouTube content. And every vlog I make, and I've been vlogging every day for 810 days in a row, and I'm never going to stop. But every vlog I make, I think of it like it's a little coffee shop, a little franchise. And each one will make six figures in the long run, which I will donate to charity. I've given a ton of scholarships away this year, etc., and I'll keep doing that. But in terms of finding out what the next great platform is, I'm going to show you how. So there's this guy named Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's from the East Coast of the United States. He's very direct. He rubs people the wrong way initially, and then they learn to love him because he's honest. It's like that honest friend of yours. So go to his website, search for Gary V, and then just go right down to the bottom, okay? And what you'll do, and no one's ever told me this is just my methodology. And, my dad always told me growing up, he said, Chris, don't ever take advice from somebody not successful. Well, Gary V is successful. Let's take advice from him. Whatever order he has these logos in are the social media platforms that you should look at using. Okay. He used to have Method here as well, which he took down. I stopped my Method page and deleted my account as well. It wasn't helpful. His first one is Instagram, then YouTube, Facebook, and for ethical reasons, I canceled my Facebook account years ago, and my marketing team just convinced me to put it back online. Separate story, yeah. The problem with Facebook is basically if you're a Democrat, they serve you ads that makes you more Democrat. If you're a Republican, they serve you ads that make you more Republican. And all of a sudden, you've got America and the world at odds. Yeah. And for more details on that, search for Sacha Baron Cohen's speech on that, his serious speech. It was brilliant. Then Twitter, then Snapchat, which I've never figured out. But I do look like an adorable baby when I use that Snapchat baby thing. Just kidding. Then, of course, LinkedIn. And I guess this here is podcast. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I recommend. Okay. All right. Naveed is saying, hi, Chris. I'm eagerly awaiting to see you. Thank you. I'm so sorry I started a couple minutes late today. I tried to broadcast to millions of platforms at the same time, and I had a glitch. And so I always have a plan B. And the bottom line is we're live. Yeah. All right. Pratik is saying, you're talking to Manas there. That's cool. All right. So Kundan is saying, Chris, can you please tell us how we can find undervalued assets like stocks and real estate? Also, is buying blue chip stocks nowadays worth it? Yeah. So I subscribe to the Warren Buffett financial outlook process of being long-term focused. The longer the view, the wiser the intention. And when Warren Buffett buys a stock, he says that he thinks and assumes the market might be closed for 10 years. Now, of course, he knows the market's not going to be closed for 10 years, but that thought process helps him be very long-term focused. You don't want to be a tourist in a stock. You don't want to rent stocks because if you're short-term focused, you'll lose your shirt. There's no such thing as a trader that's been successful in the long run. Otherwise, we'd know their names. They don't exist. Each month has 20 trading days, meaning 20 weekdays. And the reason stocks go up and down within 20 days, for the most part, is for reasons outside your control, like geopolitical events. Maybe it's saber rattling in the commodity sector between Riyadh and Moscow. Maybe it's talk of a trade war because there's saber rattling or comments going back and forth between Beijing and DC. Maybe the stocks are going up and down that you own because a similar company in that sector reported positive or negative news. So you've got to be very, very long-term focused. And so when it comes to buying stocks or assets in general, you've got to be a contrarian. Be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy, as Mr. Buffett says. And you got to buy when there's blood in the streets. And I know that sounds harsh, but if you buy investments that everybody else owns right now and everyone else loves right now, then who's the incremental investor that's going to buy that investment and push it higher? There's not that many incremental investors left. And so what I recommend doing is buying when everyone's freaking out. I love to buy broken stocks, but not broken companies. And yes, it feels uncomfortable to buy when the market is selling off big time. But you've got to harness that level of uncomfort you feel deep down, that nervousness, those butterflies, and go against the grain. Be a contrarian and watch your net worth take off. It's kind of like when you're buying a house. Don't overextend yourself too much. But if you don't feel at least a little bit uncomfortable when you're buying a house or an apartment. You haven't bought enough house or apartment. Yeah, you got to be long-term focused. It's kind of like when you buy a computer, and we've all bought computers, and we've been cheap when it comes to the memory it has or disk drive space. And then a year later, you're like, damn it, I wish I'd spent more money on a bigger drive. So anyway, just be a contrarian and think very, very long-term in terms of understanding if something is over or undervalued. Well, what I do is I'm so long-term focused that people look at certain stocks, like Amazon, LinkedIn, when it was public, ticker LNKD years ago. And they would say to me, Chris, you're crazy for owning those stocks because they're 100 times earnings. And I would say, no, they're 3 times earnings. And they would say what? I would say, well, I built out my financial model, which I teach about in my classes and my MBA degree program. I built out my financial model, and the earnings expectations or my earnings estimates in 5 or 10 years are so high that the company's price divided by earnings is 3 times earnings or 4 times earnings. It's cheap. And so that will make you very disciplined and long-term focused, so that if a stock drops a lot and you just started buying it, you're happy it's dropping, even though you're losing money on it a bit because you don't have a full position yet, because then you can back up the truck. Be very, very long-term focused, because the bottom line is the longer the view, the wiser the intention. And Wayne Gretzky, fellow Canadian and the best hockey player ever, he was successful not because he skated to where the puck is. Rather, he was successful because he would always skate to where the puck is going to be. And by the same token, I want you to buy investments that people are going to like. And I want you to be very, very long-term focused. Okay. All right. Pratik wrote a very good book, and all of Chris's students write very good books. I agree. And this is from Manas Roy wrote a book. It's called Bonds Over Business. It's great. I bought it on Amazon. I also bought his course on Udemy. I support my students. We're all in this together. We're all family here. Yeah. Congrats again, Manas. All right. Mustafa is saying, good morning, Chris. Good morning. Hope you're well. Likewise. Unfortunately, I'm not making progress following the combination for meeting prospects. Shall I send a personalized connection request first, then ask for a Zoom meeting? Yeah. So I recommend keeping it really, really short, your message. And don't say why you want to meet, but list things in common. So, for example, you can say, and I'm going to make this up, John, hope all is well. I'm also from Brooklyn, and I also went to Brooklyn XYZ school. Please let me know if you have time for a quick coffee. Thanks. Something like that. Something that you have in common with them. And if you want, paste the message that you wrote into this live chat here, and I'll take a look at it and give you my humble thoughts. But you can't expect to get 100% of the meetings that you ask for. It's like dating. You got to ask lots of people out, and just, every time you get rejected, you're like, oh, cool, I'm this much closer to success. And anybody that's ever made it big in any industry has gotten rejected a gazillion times. All famous authors, like Agatha Christie, C.S. Lewis, and there's plenty of others, John Grisham, etc. They were all rejected a gazillion times from these big publishing houses, but they kept at it, and they didn't fear failure. They looked at it right in the face and conquered it. They went after it. It's a game of numbers, networking, that is, and dating and business, whatever, And as Mark Cuban said, you only have to be right in business one time. And failure is cool, right? It's not shameful at all. And if you care what other people think, you'll never reach your full potential in life when it comes to failure. Because as Dr. Seuss said, those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. Kundan is saying, Robert Kiyosaki, that's the rich dad, poor dad guy, right? Says, house is not an asset because it doesn't provide cash flow. Do you agree? Yeah. I disagree. So there are certain investments you make that don't pay dividends every year and never pay dividends. And the only time you get a return on that investment is when you sell that business. So for example, I have friends that have bought professional sports teams and they don't make money from it every year. They hardly make any money. In fact, they only make money when they sell that sports team. It's the same thing with a venture capital investment in every private company ever. You don't get dividends or cash flow from each investment in venture capital. The way you harvest your investment is when it goes public or it's acquired by another company, right? But those are still assets, yeah. And I think your house is the best asset you can ever have because unlike other asset classes or many others, you get a lot of great tax breaks. Buy a house as soon as you can. I had to wait until my 30s to do it, just because I had debt and stuff. But it was the best investment you'll ever make because of the tax breaks as well. Yeah. Okay. Next up is Curative Finance. Yolanda is saying, Professor Haroun, and Yolanda wrote a great book as well, which I have. Thank you. And Yolanda is one of my amazing MBA degree program students in the Platinum program in the class that started December 2019. I can't believe we're almost done. It's been crazy. Yeah. We're 85% of the way through now. Yeah. So Yolanda is writing, Professor Haroun, FYI, the kids are now in school, and I'm confident I will finish the program at the deadline date. Great content overall. Thank you. Thank you. And it's a pleasure to have you as part of the program. It's been fun. Yeah. Yeah. And in terms of my kids in school, and you're based in Texas, I think, right? Yeah. Yeah. So in terms of my kids, let me tell you about my kids really quickly here. They're like sons to me. Just kidding. So, so this guy here, this is Andrew, Matthew, and Dylan. And Dylan just went back to school here, and it's on and off, 1 week on, 1 week off. These guys, well, they're in high school now, they're a bit older. Oh my God, they grow fast. They're still doing it from home. And so the high school system might not open up until next year, if then at all. I don't know. But when it comes to kids, so what happens with Dylan, and I wanted to name him Luke initially, and I didn't want these guys to be jealous because we were getting a little brother, and so I kind of said, "What do you guys think of the name Luke?" And they said, "I don't want baby brother to be named Luke. I want Han Solo." Which would have been a badass name. It would have been awesome. So he's Dylan. That's Matthew. And Christine, my wife, said, Chris, if it was up to you, the kids' names would be Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. He's Dylan. Yeah. But so Dylan went to school. He's on again, off again. 1 week there, 1 week back at home. And they all wear masks, and there's plastic shields as well, the desks. And they've done a great job of that. And they're all in public school, and I don't believe in private school. Yeah. So, but the other kids are doing it from home still. And I mean, people are talking about how there's going to be a big uptick in coronavirus cases this fall. And we're seeing it in Canada, where I'm from originally. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. But in Canada, and they've done a great job, not as good as New Zealand, but they've done a great job handling COVID. But they've started to see a big spike because kids are going back to school. So, yeah. When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And I think that many of my students are going to look back on this point in history and say, yeah, it sucked. It was awful. However, I started my business plan or my company during that ridiculous recession, COVID recession. And because of that, I'm successful or more successful now because of that. And you always want to start companies in recessions, side hustles, etc. And don't worry if you don't have money to start it, because it costs you nothing to start a company anyway. Right? You don't have to be in Palo Alto in order to create a great tech company. You can be anywhere in the world. Making a website, it's free. Coding, it's next to nothing. It'll cost you $10 to take a course on coding, etc. Yeah. Cool. But Yolanda, great to hear from you. There you go. All right, cool. Next up, Kunal saying, good morning, Chris. Hope you're doing well. Likewise. All right, and Hari is saying, Chris, I find using OBS software quite tough. So for those of you not familiar with OBS software is a free version of what I'm using right now to stream to all of you. I use a product called Wirecast, but you can use a free version of a product just like this called OBS, which stands for Open Broadcast Software. And I show my students how to use OBS from scratch in my MBA degree program. I also show you how to use Wirecast. I also show you how to use Streamlabs OBS. I also show you how to use Twitch. I make a Twitch stream, which I've done on for my MBA degree program students, which is fun. But Hari wrote here, I find using OBS software quite tough. Is there any alternative free software to combine our video explanation in the Microsoft presentation? Yeah. So if you think that OBS is a little bit complicated, then I recommend trying a product called Streamlabs OBS, which is what the top video game streamers use. It's like OBS, except it's just got a nice, prettier interface on it. Kind of like for those of you that are really technical, you can use many different versions of Linux software. But if you use Red Hat Linux, it's a little bit more intuitive, that sort of thing. So I would check out Streamlabs OBS. Yeah. And one thing, when it comes to, making videos or doing what I'm doing, it's so much easier to understand how to do all this stuff if you understand that everything is a layer, okay? So layer on top of each other. So this here is layer 1, right? So if I click this here, this is for my Office Hours MBA degree students later today, that layer appears. And you won't be able to see, hold on. If I click this layer here, this layer appears, right? So everything is just, hey there, everything is just a layer. And once you understand that, then applications like Photoshop, Premiere Pro, and OBS are a lot easier to use. Yeah. Okay. And then Casey is saying, will you require essays for the early admissions to gold and platinum programs next year? Yes. There will always be essays required for early admission. Okay. And then for regular, there's no essays. Yeah. But we will cap it at, I think, about 100 students. I'm going to make it a bit smaller than last year's class. Last year's class was 160, and then 2 asked for a refund within 30 days. So we have 158 students in the platinum program now this year. For next year, starting December 14th, I think I'm going to cap it at, I'll cap it at 100. I think so, yeah. Because that's a lot of time for me, 3 hours with each individual student. And when I say 3 hours, it's actually way, way more than that. Yeah. And we've already done several hundred hours of live Q&A. I'm not talking about the core classes. There's 300 hours of core classes, but I've done several hundred hours already of live Q&A. And you don't have to take all the classes, whatever, just get over 50% to get the degree. Yeah. John Klee, how are you? John is awesome. John, I think I met you on, it was call number 10, weekly webcast number 10. He's from Rochester. And then a long time ago, I put up on my website, I'm looking to hire. And he responded, and I work with John, and he is awesome. For those of you that participated in the open house, the 13-hour marathon call on, I think it was 2 Fridays ago, where I gave a sample of one of my classes. You go to my YouTube page, search for open house. What John did was he went through all 13 hours within like hardly any time, and he wrote down all the questions in the description fields of the open house. And I need him to help, actually, because one of my staff was away for family reasons, one of my other amazing employees named Hisham. And so I asked John, and he over-delivered like he always does. And so John wrote, hey, Chris, hope all is well, likewise. With no more coffee dates available to network, how do you suggest networking in this new age of COVID? Should you use Zoom and phone calls? Yeah. So I don't think phone calls are good. I think Zoom works exceptionally well. And I know it sounds out there, but hardly anybody asks for networking meetings using Zoom. So that means there's less competition. So I think the probability of you getting a meeting is much higher now than it was in the pre-COVID world by just asking for meetings in person for coffee. Not many people do it. And I have several students of mine that have done a great job, especially Jose, who's one of my great students from Brooklyn, who's in my platinum program. Yeah, you can do it. You can do it. Yeah. And also I have Raphael, one of my other amazing students. He started this incredible company called Doc Formative in my MBA degree program. Let me show you what he did. The guy's just incredible, man. And this guy can sell. He's awesome. So we go to Doc Formative. Yeah. And so Raf started this company. Look at that badass graphic. I love that, man. And here he is here. Yeah, he's amazing. He's incredible. But he networked a lot using LinkedIn, using the stuff I talk about, and he's been incredibly successful. He's great. All right, I got the best students. All right, and next up is Ayush is saying, "Hi, Chris. You are wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Did you even get up for eating or going to the bathroom during your open house? How did you deal with so long hours of sitting?" Catheter. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, somebody asked me, do I have a catheter? I don't, obviously, but I just, it's kind of like, and what Ayush is referring to is I did an open house and I sat down for, it was 13 hours long, but I actually sat down for, my record was over 10 hours without getting up. And the reason I was able to do it is because when you're passionate about what you're doing, you don't have any concept of time. And so for this one here, let me make sure it's muted. I think I went 10 hours before I got up once. And then we did a Zoom call with tons of our awesome students, etc. But it's kind of like when you, I don't know, like when you play a video game, like there's no concept of time. You just love doing what you're doing. You thoroughly enjoy it. You know, it's kind of like my kids, they'll play forever. And I try to tire them and I can't. I try hard. It's like playing with our cat. We have a cat named Ruby we just got. I can't outplay her. She wants to play forever. And so when you love doing what you're doing, there's no concept of time. You just thoroughly enjoy it. And I learned so much from my students here. So a couple of these students are already in the Platinum program. Others are signing up. This is a guy named Jay, and this is Kemi. So Jay's in New York City. He's in medical school. He's brilliant. Kemi is also brilliant. She had her adorable daughter on. She lives in Brampton, Ontario. She used to live in England, and before that in Nigeria. She's wonderful. She's wonderful. They're all great. They're all great. But when you thoroughly love doing what you're doing, there is no concept of time. There's no, and this is Christina, who lives in South San Francisco. She's brilliant as well. She's starting the program soon. This is Rohit, who's in the program right now. Just amazing. Anyway, this here is Kevin in the program now as well, and Geronimo in Brazil. I've just got the best students. But when you truly do what you love doing, again, there's absolutely no concept of time. And, you know, Mark Twain had this wonderful quote right here on the wall. He said, the two most important days in your life are number one, the day you're born, and number two, the day you find out why. And in my program, I help you discover what your why is by doing really, really detailed goal case studies, I should say, goal setting workshops. So, like, think about it this way. If you get up in the morning and you tell yourself you're going to work, then with all due respect, you're doing it wrong. And I say it with love in my heart when I say you're doing it wrong. You got to find your passion, your raison d'être. You know, what is your purpose? What is the reason you were put on this earth? You know, what do you enjoy? And if I told you that for the next 30 days, you're not allowed to travel, you cannot go to school, and you cannot work, what would you do with your time? That's what you were meant to be doing, no matter what anybody says. That's your passion in life. And I really believe that if you follow your dreams and you ignore everybody else, everyone's wrong except for you. If you follow your dreams and you're willing to fail a couple times and not give a damn what the world thinks, then eventually your dreams will come true and the money will follow accidentally. It always does. And I have so many examples of people that have done that don't have university degrees. But if you chase money, more often than not, you'll lose your money and your dreams. Just follow your heart. And I know that money's important, and we have to obviously, earn money to live. But at some point in your life, enough is enough. Start chasing your dreams. And it's never too late to start over, because the average age of somebody starting a company in the United States now is well over 50 years old. And the life expectancy globally is now 26 years longer than it was back in the 1950s. So you're 26 years younger than you think you are. So you can start over, starting today. Do what you enjoy doing. Do what you love doing. And as Confucius said, you'll never have a job for the rest of your life. And we change when we start working. You know, it's bizarre, but I remember when I was younger, laughing so hard until it hurt. You remember that with your buddies? Remember you fall down the grate, you're laughing so hard, man. And then I started working for other people, and I felt like it was like, I don't know, corporate lobotomy or something, to the extent that I just wasn't. It was my fault. I wasn't being myself. You know, like I go in an elevator, and you know, somebody senior would walk in, like get kind of nervous, and I'd say, "Beautiful day today, isn't it, sir?" And then I get out of the elevator, and I think to myself, did that help my career? Did I say the right thing? Did I sound smart? I wasn't being myself. And I think that if you chase your passion, you can think like you were when you were younger and just be happy and laugh and be you. You be you. You do you. Because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind, to quote Dr. Seuss. Yeah. And so I will walk through walls to help my students, you know, find their passion in life. All right. Next up is Jordan. Hey, Jordan, first time I've seen you on the call. Welcome. Jordan is saying, hi, Chris. I hope you're doing well. I'd like to ask you, do people develop the sense that an idea is going to make them a lot of money? Where does this amazing ability come from? Yeah. So it has to be something you're incredibly passionate about. Because if you're not passionate about something, you're not going to change the world, and you're not going to be productive in that role. And that's why a lot of people that program, they reinvent the world, right? They put their dents in the universe, to quote Steve Jobs, because they love doing what they're doing. And the difference between an average programmer and a great programmer or engineer is 10x in performance, because they're passionate about what they do. So if you're passionate about an industry or a business or a product or a service, and you get butterflies in your stomach when you think about it, that's lightning in a bottle. You got to capture that and embrace it, and guard that as well, and write a business plan immediately, because failing to plan is planning to fail. You know, and a lot of people that are successful, they failed more times than you and I have combined. As Mark Cuban said, you only have to be right in business one time. That's it. One time. But you got to fail a lot first. And you got to be willing to pull the plug on ventures and side hustles. And you don't have to tell anybody you're starting companies on the side. Nobody's got to know. I've started so many companies on the side, tons of them. And no one's ever known about it. And I would advertise in markets overseas where nobody knew me, like Pakistan, for example. And I would wait until something takes off. And then once it scales, and once my revenue for the past 6 months is greater than my entire annual salary, then I would quit. It was a no-brainer. But what you want to do is you want to give it 2 years always. With any startup, any company you start, I want you to give it 2 years. And at the end of 2 years, I want you to, you know, have kind of a sanity check, a checkpoint, so to speak, and ask yourself, had I known about the issues that I've uncovered in the past 2 years of starting this company, would I still have started it? If the answer is no, pull the plug and move on. Be unemotional. Rinse, lather, repeat until you find success. But I'll help you in my MBA degree program, you know, find decent places to start companies. I won't tell you how to make money or what companies you should start, but I'll provide you with a number of frameworks that'll definitely help you or your money back. But usually it comes from frustration, the ability to start a company. You know, you're frustrated with the way things work. You know, and a lot of times it's personal. You know, like for Bombardier, a great Canadian company, they make skidoos and subway cars and a lot of things. But the Bombardier family, there was a point in Quebec when they, you know, many, many years ago, when one of their kids had to go to the hospital and they couldn't get the kid to the hospital in time because of the snow. And so the family started skidoos. Or the Jacuzzi brothers. The Jacuzzi brothers, they were from Italy originally. And originally they made airplane engines. And the Jacuzzi brothers, they immigrated to the United States. And one of their kids had severe muscular issues. And in order to help the kid out, what they did was they took the airplane engines and they put it in a swimming pool. And that was used, they re-engineered the whole process to help that child of theirs with the muscular issues in a hot tub, I guess. So a lot of times, great business models come from frustration. And many people that have changed the world and started companies have been fired. They've been fired. And they harness that frustration and they reinvent themselves. Michael Bloomberg was fired by Merrill Lynch. He's a billionaire now and was the former mayor of New York. And he started Bloomberg, that software company that's too expensive to use because you can get it all for free on Yahoo Finance anyway. Oof, a little off topic there. But a lot of times it comes from frustration, you know. And if you're frustrated right now in your life and business, I say good. And I say it with love my heart. Because with frustration comes reinvention. You know, you got to tell yourself, I can't take it anymore, and I'm going to do something about it. I'm not a tree, so I can move. And you can start your own company or find a better job. And if I help you humbly along your path to success, then I've done my job. And then Kieran is saying, some university is using your videos. Yeah, thank you for telling me about that. If you don't mind, and I do have, people do rip off my stuff every now and then. And so if it's a Udemy course, Udemy has a department that they fix it. They're amazing. But otherwise, like some people will do that. They'll take my stuff and they'll pretend it's theirs and they'll charge students for it. And they'll say I'm a professor at their university. And I've had my lawyers look into it and I've done cease and desist as well. So if you can please just let me know. And you can't paste a website in here. YouTube won't let you. Just type the name. Like, for example, if it's CNN, instead of saying CNN.com, you do CNN space DOT space com. Just please let me know and I'll do a cease and desist with them. Thank you, though. Appreciate it. Yeah. All right. All right. Amazing Science 360 is saying, can you suggest to me the best marketing strategies? Yeah. Oof, that's a tough one. I just did a class on this, and I was teaching my MBA degree students, you know, how to sell digitally. And what I did, and you know what I'll do actually is let me actually go through some of the slides right now, and I'll show you just really quickly. And this will give you a nice taste as well. I gotta get the other keyboard here, and I'll show you all the crazy keyboards I have here as I set this up. All right, so let me close this out here. And right behind me, you'll see the presentation will change here. Yeah. All right, so this here is going to be, hold on one second, open recent, and I'll show you. This was SMC October 19th, I think. Yeah. How to sell online. Okay, here it is here. Yeah. So I did a case study in this class, and let me just run through some of the slides. I won't go through all of it because I don't want to bore you all with it. But I basically did a case study on the open house that I did and how we got people to sign up for the class, the Platinum program. And so SMC 4.5, that means Sales, Marketing, and Communications, semester 4, class number 5. And there's 5 main tracks that people have to take the courses for, the core courses. There's SMC, which is Sales, Marketing, and Communications. Then there's also E for entrepreneurship. There's FA, which is finance and accounting. There's EMS, which is economics management and strategy. And then there's PG, which is personal growth. All right. So in terms of the slides here, this is sales, marketing, and communication, semester 4, class number 5. And in this class, and whenever I start any class of mine, what I do is I provide workbooks for every class, and they're all the same content in 3 different formats. There's Adobe, PDF, Microsoft Word, and Google Docs, so that you can take this course on a desktop, laptop, Android device, iPhone, whatever it is, using different document formats. So I can appeal to a massive total addressable market. I'm inclusive of everybody. And as I started this class, I said we're 82% of the way through. I start every class with a quote as well. So for this particular class, I had a quote from Seth Godin, and I wrote here: don't find customers for your products, find products for your customers. It's a great quote from Seth Godin. And so every class I talk about 3 topics. Topic 1 was introducing the Haroun Education Ventures 15 C's of selling online. This will help you with your marketing strategy, which is the crux of your question. Topic 2, I talk about the first 5 of them. And then topic 3, the last 10 in a lot of detail. So when it comes to selling and marketing your products online, here are the applications that I use. Okay, so there's 15 websites and applications I use. And this is the order in which I recommend them. Okay, so the first one here you see is right at the top left. This here is email. And I know that email is kind of old school, but it's still the gold standard when it comes to marketing your products or services. You need to get people to join your email list, which is why when you go to my websites, and I do this because I want to help as well. I do it from the bottom of my heart, not the heart of my bottom. But when you go to my website, quite often you'll see that when you scroll down, there's a book, and you provide me with your email address right here. Okay, and that's the carrot. You need to have a carrot in order to get people to give you their email address. And so email is the gold standard. You collect emails. And of course, whenever you send out mass emails, and I'll teach you how in a second in more detail, whenever you send out mass emails, you always have to have unsubscribe at the bottom, because it's unethical otherwise, and you're breaking the law as well. And there's certain places like in Europe, for example, there's something called GPDR. And so, yeah, you're breaking the law if you don't actually provide a way to get off that. Next up is YouTube is the second best channel for contacting customers. And you got to think about it in terms of adding value. You need to add value to everybody's life and give them something for free before you get them as customers, right? It's give and take, give and you'll receive. It's prophetic, and it's been true since the beginning of time. And that's what with all my YouTube videos are. My YouTube videos that you see, my vlog, it's just repurposing of this weekly webcast. I'm repurposing content. And Nintendo is probably the best case study on this. And I got this for my kids, for my boys for Christmas, and they have a little brother in me. But Nintendo's been doing this since the beginning of time, right? So they repurpose their content. And we did a great case study on Nintendo, and we do a massive case study of Apple potentially buying Nintendo, hypothetically speaking, in this MBA degree program. But Nintendo with Mario 64 on the 64-bit platform, as well as Mario Sunshine on the, I guess that was 2002, the GameCube, and then with Mario Galaxy on the Wii. Galaxy 2 was better though. They repurposed this, and they're selling it now on the Switch. And that's what I think about whenever it comes to my marketing strategy with respect to YouTube, for example. I write once, read many. WORM, worm, write once, read many. And so what happens is you watch this weekly call of mine, and then what we do is every day at 9 a.m., we repurpose the content like Nintendo does by putting vlogs out there that are based on this weekly call. And the same thing with my Twitter profile, Instagram, etc. Rinse, lather, repeat. The third thing here is using a product called Active Campaign, which I show you how to use from a high-level perspective. This is what I use to reach out and access all people on my email distribution list. And you can tell where they've clicked, etc., and retarget certain ads to them. And there's other products here I can go into more detail if you want to, but I want to save you time, not go through this. Not everyone will be interested in this. Okay. Right here, ClickFunnels. Let me mention ClickFunnels really quickly. A lot of people are interested in the whole funnel process. Let me explain how it works. So the way that ClickFunnels works is there's one web page that's very, very long, and it looks ridiculous, but it works exceptionally well. Okay. So ClickFunnels, think about a funnel in a kitchen, right? If you're making food, whatever, a funnel kind of takes it down and that's probably not the best analogy. But let me show you how a funnel works here. Yeah. All right, so if we go to HarounMBA.com. So this here is using ClickFunnels. This is a funnel process, okay? So right here, this is one web page. That's all it is. That's what ClickFunnels is. It's a funnel, and once you reach the bottom, hopefully it's got you interested in the product, whatever, purchase or don't purchase, whatever. So what happens is this. As you scroll down through this page, if you're interested in signing up for the program or product, you click here, it goes boom, down a little bit more, and it takes you down the funnel. Right. And so, for example, I talk about why my MBA degree program makes sense compared to others, yada, yada, whatever. And then here, you click here and it goes to the bottom. Boom. And this is where you register. Okay. This is all one web page. And it looks ridiculous, but it works. It works especially on mobile. Right. And this is made for mobile as well. We always design for mobile because mobile is the desktop of the future. And this is a funnel. So as you scroll down, it provides you more details on the product, right? And whenever you're interested, you click here, you go to the bottom of the funnel. And whatever, just customer testimonials, all that stuff, sample classes as well. So I teach in this program, Finance and Accounting. Click there for a sample class. Go to HarounMBA.com to see this in action. I teach entrepreneurship in the program. Click here to watch a video. That was a case study on Intel and Kleiner Perkins, and the trader is 8. Personal growth, click here to watch a video. Then we got sales, marketing, and communication. Click here to watch a video. And then economics, management, and strategy. Click here to watch a video where we study bonds and interest rates and stuff. Then more testimonials here. Okay, I have students in 41 countries, 158 students in 41 countries in the first Platinum program. Just whatever, books and stuff, more testimonials, and then the product here. That's how it works. And so that's how a funnel works in general. So anyway, that's that. All right. And the last thing I'll mention here quickly, because again, not everyone's interested in marketing, is a product called Thrive Cards. And Thrive Card is cool because what happens is when people check out to buy a product, after you pay, and it'll say to you, hey, do you also want to buy this product? They cross-sell similar products, or you upsell a more expensive product. That's what Thrive Cart does. And so these are great examples of marketing automation. Okay, let me move on now to the next question. And let me just get rid of these slides here. And so this here, all this is here is just PowerPoint, right? So yeah. So let me go back here to today. Today's week 111, right? And I will click play. It's just PowerPoint behind me. That's all it is in 16:9 format. Great. I love that quote. A year from now, you may have wished you started today. All right, let me get the right mouse over here. Here we go. Good. All right. Next up, Noman is saying, hello, everyone. Hope all is well. Chris, thank you for the in-depth curriculum. You're most welcome. I have many plans to utilize your tutorials. God bless all and be safe. Thank you, and God bless you way more. All right, next up, we've got Hassan. Give me 1 second. Okay. Next up, we got Hassan, who's saying, hey, Chris, do you have any suggestions for starting a hedge fund? How much money do I need? And how can I raise more capital? Also, you said you've started a hedge fund yourself. Why'd you quit? I hated being short-term focused. And I did well, especially 1 year. In 2008, when the market was down a lot, there was 1 month in October, I made like 3 or 4% return by running basically net short when the market was down huge. And it felt wrong and unethical for me to come into work every day and hope that companies were going to go bankrupt. It's just an awful way to live. But I did it for years. I worked for Citadel, great hedge fund, great people there. Pequot, Kingdon, worked at Goldman before that. And I found that like I was just too focused on making money. And I just wasn't happy. Something was missing. Yeah. So anyway, I moved on and I did something longer term. I morphed my hedge fund into a venture capital hybrid type fund. I invested in Facebook when it was a private company. And then I did venture capital full time for 4 years. And then eventually I said, enough is enough. I just want to teach. So in order to start a hedge fund, which is the crux of your question, and raising money. So you need to have experience first in the hedge fund industry in order to raise money. Otherwise, people aren't going to give you capital. It's like saying, I want to start a software company. If you haven't worked in software, then it's harder to raise money. So get a couple of years under your belt, get a track record, and then go out and start meeting with high net worth investors. And so download my book here from my website, harounventures.com. You can download it for free. And this will teach you everything you need to know about how to network. And this is the basis for how I've raised and managed money. I've raised and managed over $1 billion in my career. My secrets and tips, humbly, are in this book. So check it out. All right. And I could talk the legal structure too if you're interested. I set up an offshore bank. So I did what's called a master feeder. I had one umbrella company that owned all my entities. And then I had a domestic vehicle for my hedge fund and an offshore vehicle in the British Virgin Islands. And I chose BVI, British Virgin Islands, because it's like the Cayman Islands, but a lot cheaper as well. And it was for some of my investors overseas that didn't want to pay U.S. taxes, whatever. And you never give tax advice to any of your investors ever. You just provide them with a menu, kind of when I teach. I feel like I'm a waiter, right? I'm a waiter, hopefully with good food, or a bad waiter with bad food. I don't know. And my job as a waiter, and this is where I proposed to my wife and Maxime's in Paris in France. Yeah. The way that I think about it is, as your teacher, I provide you with a menu of items. And I expose you the entire menu of business frameworks, etc. And you pick what you want to eat, that sort of thing. So that's the analogy, yeah. And I use just a ton of props as well in the MBA degree program, right? So we did a case study. This is a bond from 1945 and how the U.S. government raised money for World War II. I explain how this works. It's a real one. It's fun. And also we did a case study in the Walt Disney Corporation, how they raised money for Euro Disney. These are coupon bonds. That's why it looks like a coupon. You clip them off. Yeah. So anyway, I have a lot of fun with all these props and stuff. Yeah. All right. Give me 1 second here. And dude, it is getting a little bit chilly in here for me. Yeah. All right. All right, next up, Hari is saying, people like Manas motivate me to write my book. I agreed. And if you're just joining us, Manas, one of my great students, wrote a book called Bonds Over a Business, which I purchased, and it's great. So Hari is saying, people like Manas motivate me to write my book. I'm setting a target of 2021 July to publish my book. Excellent. And then he wrote, thank you, Chris, for inspiring us to achieve big. Awesome. Thank you, Hari. I'll remember that too. I can't wait to read it. July of 2021. And for those of you just joining, you can go to my website to download a free book template. I don't ask for your email or anything. Go to harounventures.com/ all lowercase, write book. It's all one word. It's a free download. And it'll help you publish your book as well, which costs you nothing to do. And dedicated to your parents. All right. Next up, Casey is saying, Chris, when you were studying at school and university, what methods did you find most helpful? For example, writing lots of summary notes, talking into a recording device, etc. Yeah. So I learned the hard way because I made so many mistakes. But what I found is that, and hold on 1 second. I hear loud electricity buzzing. Stay with me, please. Don't go anywhere. And I always have this product here just in case. Get these in your house, by the way. This is for your kids especially. It's called Stop Fires Fast. It's easy for your kids to spray this at the bottom. But I hear electricity. Hold on 1 second. Okay, Like we're good. We're good. All right. Great thing about doing these live calls is I can see in real time how many people are on the call. I just lost 10 people. That's okay if there's no fires though. Yeah. So the question is, when you were studying, when you were studying at school and university, what methods did you find most helpful? For example, writing lots of summary notes, talking into a recording device, etc. Yeah, the most important thing I learned is scheduling. So I was really bad with time management, and this is for my MBA degree program students. So I learned time management. And this is a process I have, and I make this available in like 8 different file formats for all my students. But I found that scheduling your days ahead of time allows you to get a lot more done. Okay. And for those of you that want to download something like this right now, I have a less premium version of this. You go to harounventures.com/schedule, all lowercase, schedule, all lowercase. But what I do now is I write my schedule every day before I go to bed, right? This has got face recognition, that's why. And so if you write down what you're going to accomplish the next day before you go to bed, and you put this by your sink, so the first thing you see in the morning is this schedule, then you'll get a hell of a lot more stuff done, because if you want to get something done, give it to a busy person. And so scheduling your days helps exceptionally well. I do this except on the weekends. Otherwise, you drive yourself crazy. Right? Weekends are for family. Sundays, at least. Yeah. But I found that better time management helps you get better grades and makes you more well-rounded. And you ever notice how, you know, people in your life at school or at work that do exceptionally well, and they have a great social life and they're in great shape and all that stuff? It's because they schedule their days. If you want to get something done, give it to a busy person. Also, I found that when I was in school, if I get up an hour early each day and study in the morning, I retain a lot more information. In fact, 1 hour of studying in the morning is better than like 12 hours at night. So what do you do if you have to study at night or in the afternoon? You exercise while you study. Hear me out here. And this is out there. But I found that when you exercise while you study on a treadmill or going for a walk or on one of those Stairmaster elliptical trainers, what happens is this. I'm going to show you a demo in a second. What happens is this. Your brain releases serotonin. And if you treat this right, this will work a lot better as well. So that's what I do. So I don't have my wide angle lens with me right now. But what I do is I have a desk that goes up. I take this chair off and I go in my walker. And I go for a walk. And I get literally 20,000 steps in every single day while I'm working. And in the afternoon when I'm fading, I'll do this. And I'll just get up and I'll turn the treadmill on. I'll move my chair off the treadmill. And I get my steps in. 20,000 every day, without exception. And I think much more clearly, and I kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And from a time management perspective, I get a hell of a lot more stuff done as well. Yeah. All right. Oh, and also try to understand stuff too when you're studying. Like, don't ever memorize anything. Otherwise, you'll get a D in accounting, like I did when I was at McGill University. I had to take it again because I was memorizing it. Understand it and question everything, like the old Sega commercials. Challenge everything. Yeah. And if you understand why things work the way they do, then you'll never forget it. You'll never forget it. Yeah. All right. All right. And Lawrence is saying, hi, Chris. Hope you're coping well under COVID-19. Thank you. Thank you. You know, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. We are all healthy. I haven't been sick since, I don't think all year, maybe a little bit in February, which I'll talk about in a second. But it's bizarre because, I mean, obviously I wash my hands more now than I did before because of COVID. And I don't touch my face as much either. And I think that's why a lot of us are getting sick less often because of this, right? There is some sort of silver lining, as bizarre as that sounds. And I remember years ago, I went to see my doctor and I asked her, I said, why is it you're not sick all the time? I mean, you're around sick people all day, patients. And she said, well, Chris, I wash my hands all the time and I never touched my face. And because of that, I've actually, we're pretty healthy here so far. Knock on wood, knock on wood. But in February, I was a little bit nervous for a day or two. I thought maybe I got COVID. And so speaking of not touching my face, here I go, yeah. So what I did was I drank hot water all day long, right? To try to murder that damn virus if it was in me, which it probably wasn't, but whatever. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe we've all had it in some form. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up is Sphinx is saying, I just came in to say hi and that you're a legend. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. The Sphinx. I like that. My dad's Egyptian. I've never gone to Egypt to see the Sphinx. And I saw, actually, if you've never been to the home country where your parents are from, here's what I recommend doing. Well, you can, please. Record your screen and go to Google Earth and have them narrate where they grew up, where their friends lived, and what they would do. My dad grew up in a small town, or not a small town, it's 200,000 people, in a place called Sohag, 2 hours south of Cairo. And so I had him walk through it with me. I've never been to Egypt. And my dad said, there's my Coptic church. I would go over here for a loaf of bread. I love you, Dad, if you're watching, which you're probably not, but I love you. That sort of thing. And document it. Document it if you can. Yeah. Yeah. And Avi Pro, how are you? Avi Pro is a pilot, and he is actually from Sweden. And he knows a lot about technology as well. And I hope you're doing well nowadays, but I know it's tough in the airline industry. And Avi Pro wrote, hello, Chris. I hope all is well. Yes, I would love to hear what you have in your shake. Okay, sure. Yeah. So this shake here, I put every antioxidant I can find in it, right? So there's a heck of a lot of kale in here. Kale is a superfruit, and it's full of protein. People don't realize that about kale. So there's kale in here. I have avocado as well, which has the right type of fat in it. I put super EFA oil, which I get from Amazon. I put acai powder in, organic, of course. Acai is a wonderful South American fruit that gives you energy. A lot of sports enthusiasts use it. I also put flax seeds in here so that I don't get the big C one day. If you're a guy, you got to do that. Yeah. I also put a scoop of whey protein. I put a bunch of other vegetables I get from the fridge. And I think that's probably it. Oh, I put some cinnamon in as well. Cinnamon's very good for you. And that's it. Yeah. Yeah. So that's how it, and some mushroom extract. I'm not going to go there, but it's brain food as well. And that's what I do. And this is my first meal of the day. It's good and good for you. All right. All right. And next up, Michael. Hey, Michael. Michael's saying, good morning, Chris. So grateful for the opportunity to know and learn from your breadth and depth of knowledge and wisdom. Your authenticity, integrity, and sincerity are a great example and inspiration. Thank you, Michael. God bless you. I appreciate that. And my students inspire me so much. And my students in my MBA degree program are so awesome, and they inspire me as well. And I really do believe that they learn more from each other than they do from me. Yeah, and that's a measure of a great student body, when you can learn more from each other than you can the teacher. And when one teaches, two learn. Yeah. Thank you. All right. And then Asamina is saying, get a move from GTA to Uncharted. It looks better. And they swear less. Yeah. Yeah. I played every single Uncharted game. I love all of them. My favorite one is Uncharted 2, although Uncharted 4 has got the most badass graphics, obviously. But I love those games. Love those games. There's great character development as well. And Asamina, for those of you who aren't familiar, she's joining my Platinum program this December 14th, and she is a video game developer, and she's going to make an incredible video game that's going to put Rockstar out of business. Yeah. Yeah. And Michael wrote, I took the course and I forgot to mention. Yeah. And you're talking about I think the finance course where I created a pretend company called MHS, which is Morgan Haroun Sachs. And the asterisk says, a very long and not so rich history since 2017. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs, do not sue me because I partner with you in this fictitious company, but you guys suck compared to MHS. Okay. Just kidding. And Lawrence is saying, and actually it's so funny because when I launched, I launched a course of mine called an entire MBA in one course, years ago. And then Goldman Sachs called me and they said, we'd like to talk to you about that course. I was like, oh my God. And I got ready for the call. I sat down and I was nervous as hell. I was like, did I do something wrong? Because I used to work at Goldman. And they said, we love the course and we'd like to send an email out to and interview you and send an email out to all alumni of Goldman Sachs with a link to the course, which was nice. It was nice, yeah. And so Lawrence is saying, as a long-term investor, what is your view on Howard Marks versus Warren Buffett? Do you think individual investors like me have a chance to understand market cyclicals and make great investment decisions? Yeah. I'm not familiar with Howard Marks. I think maybe he was on one of those Barron's roundtable discussions years ago, but I don't really know. But I do know that if you're very long-term focused and patient, like Warren Buffett, and you do your research and your thorough research, then there's no reason you can't materially outperform the professional investors, many of which are short-term focused. Yeah. So I would just, do thorough research on companies and don't buy them until it feels uncomfortable to buy them. What does that mean? Well, I love buying broken stocks, but not broken companies. And you got to buy when there's blood in the streets and everyone else is freaking out. And then just be a pit bull and a pork chop and hang on to that stock forever. And never invest in a stock unless you see a 500% upside within at least 5 years. A 5x5 is what I call it. And in my MBA degree program, I walk through that and how to pick stocks and how to manage a portfolio in much more detail. Okay. All right. And Michael is saying, I'm currently using your complete business plan course, and then I'll begin the YouTube course. So helpful and enjoyable. Thank you. I hope you enjoy it. And in the MBA degree program, we go into much more detail because we have what's called a venture capital boot camp portion of the program where we do a much higher end version of a business plan, which is a lot of fun. And speaking of the YouTube course, a big shout out to Sasha Stevenson, who I made that course with on Udemy. I met her on one of these weekly calls and she was giving me advice on my YouTube strategy. And I was like, oh my gosh, who is this person helping me? And so I looked her up and I contacted her. I've never met her, but she lives in Indonesia. She's an internet sensation there. She has over 100 million YouTube views and she's from Canada as well. So we collaborated and made a course, the complete YouTube course, which is fun. The best way to learn something is to teach it. All right. Next up is Hari, who's saying, Chris, I'm planning to use LinkedIn for networking with people abroad to land a job in a foreign land. What are the things that I have to look to succeed in this new abroad consulting career? Yeah. So it can be tricky. Networking to get a job in a different country for visa reasons. Here's what I recommend. If you want to work in a certain country, then what I recommend you do is work at a big company in your country and then ask to network to the mothership. Okay. So for example, I'm going to completely make this up. Let's say you get a job with Coca-Cola and you're in Zimbabwe, completely making this up. And so you work at Coca-Cola in Zimbabwe and you do an amazing job there, an incredible job. Well, if you're really good and if you network a lot internally at Coca-Cola in Zimbabwe, then eventually you'll find a way to transfer internally to the mothership, Coca-Cola's headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States. That's what I recommend. Just get your foot in the door, do a great job working at a multinational corporation, and then network a lot internally, and then transfer it to the mothership, New York City, Hong Kong, or wherever their mothership is, or the headquarters. Yeah. All right. And when it comes to consulting, especially consulting, you can do that. I mean, I worked for Accenture in consulting in Canada, and I was able to work abroad in Barbados, set up an offshore bank there, and then in the United States, I had tons of work there, and I could have transferred to the U.S. if I wanted to as well, which is where Accenture is headquartered. Sort of, they're sort of Bermuda for tax reasons, but really Chicago or St. Charles, Illinois. Yeah. All right. Next up, Michael is saying, when I finish the book for networking, this one here, and complete the 5-year plan, I'll ask some more questions. I will be here every week as I grow. I will share progress. And you wrote, I'm open in December. I'm planning for now. Awesome. And I'd love to have you join us in our December 14th in our MBA degree program as well. Yeah. And I do one-on-ones as well, 3 hours of one-on-one meetings with you in person or on Zoom. So go to harounmba.com to learn more, please. Okay. Next up, Hari is saying, how can I be cautious with fake foreign offer letters? What are the checklists to be made before moving for a career to a foreign land? Please bear with my many questions, Chris, and thanks for answering. My pleasure. Ask more, please. This is fun for me. Yeah. So I think the best thing to do is to contact a lawyer, like an immigration lawyer. That's what I did before moving to the United States. I had a lot of lawyers helping out. They're expensive, but they're worth it. They're worth it. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Norman is saying, or Norman, I'm so sorry. Norman is saying, I'm trying to stay awake for the MBA Office Hours chat. Cool. Oh, cool. You're joining us. Okay, cool. So you're in the Platinum program. Cool. Nice. Thank you. Very cool. And we teach, actually, I teach this program in 2 different time zones. So I teach Mondays and Tuesdays. Time zone 1 is 9 a.m. to noon on Mondays and Tuesdays, plus Q&A. And then time zone 2 is Mondays and Tuesdays from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. plus Q&A. And that's, of course, in Pacific time, San Francisco time as well. And you can always watch replays if you can't make the classes live. Yeah. All right. Next up, Victor saying, hey, Chris, I hope you're well. Likewise. What do you think about the ISDA agreement? Thanks. ISDA. I don't even know what that means. Let me go here. ISDA agreement. Okay. ISDA Master Agreement, internationally agreed document published by the International Swaps and Derivatives. Okay, yeah. Which is used to provide certain legal and credit protection for parties who enter in over-the-counter derivatives. Yeah. So I don't recommend participating in derivatives or swaps unless you have a lot of experience. And if you're going to invest in calls or puts, just know that you can lose all that money. And I prefer people buying puts to bet a stock is going down than instead of shorting a stock, because if you short a stock, there's an infinite amount of loss you can have. When it comes to puts or calls with derivatives, the most you can lose is the amount of money you put into that put or call in general. When it comes to credit worthiness in general, I don't recommend anybody ever use margin ever when it comes to investing, specifically with options, because that can really bankrupt you. Just be careful of that, please. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Hari is saying, here's an email that I sent to somebody. And I think this is a follow-up from a question earlier where you said you're not getting a meeting, or maybe you did. I'm not sure. You said the email example is this. Hi, X. Hope you are doing well. I'm also your student from your Z course in LinkedIn Learning, and thanks for this wonderful coursework. I'd like to connect with you in this LinkedIn. That's fine. Yeah. And the person you're approaching is somebody that teaches on LinkedIn Learning, which is something I will never do. And the reason is LinkedIn approached me. And what they do for LinkedIn Learning. So LinkedIn bought a company called Lynda in 2014. And Lynda is this really good service, actually, for courses, which is now LinkedIn Learning. And what they do is that they offer to fly me down to Santa Barbara, which is Southern California, and then they record your course, and it's the quality is way better than this. Like it's masterclass quality. And then what happens is they edit your course. It takes them about 6 weeks to perfectly edit it, and they publish it. The reason I won't do LinkedIn, okay, is because whatever you teach on LinkedIn through Lynda or LinkedIn Learning, they gave me a legal document, and I'm not disclosing anything that's wrong to disclose here. But in that legal document, which I refused to sign, and they were really nice about it, but I refused to sign. It was massive, and it basically stipulated that I can never teach anything remotely similar to that anywhere else. And I like to own all of my own content. Yeah. But in terms of your approach to connect with somebody, that sounds fine. That sounds good. Yeah. I don't see why that wouldn't work for you. Yeah. The one thing I recommend is never, ever, ever connect with somebody on LinkedIn and send them a message while trying to connect, pitching your company, because they won't accept that LinkedIn request. Yeah. And also, when you're reaching out to people on LinkedIn, if you send them a LinkedIn email, contact them twice, and that's it. Don't do a third time because they can block you or whatever, report you for spam. I don't do that, but I have blocked people before that have been just too aggressive and that sort of thing. Yeah. All right. All right. Let's see. Next up, Asamina is saying, by the way, Chris now has a new student called Psyche. She's a mini pitcher. Oh, it's your dog, right? Awesome. I love it. And dude, I was so amazed when we did that open house, Asamina, which you were on. How many people actually brought their kids onto the call as well? It was cool. It was nice. Yeah. Okay. All right, next up is Mehdi, who's saying, can a college dropout still succeed in business? Absolutely. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I'll give you examples, okay? So here are people that went from the mailroom to the CEO job without a degree. I'll give you an example. Okay, so there's a bunch of them. There's David Geffen, who started Geffen Records, of course, billionaire, and a wonderful humanitarian. He donated a ton of money to UCLA, medical school there. He's a good guy. There's also Simon Cowell from American Idol. He started in the mailroom as well. We also have the former president of ESPN, the former president and editor-in-chief of Cosmopolitan magazine, the former CEO of Goldman Sachs, Sidney Weinberg, who started in the mailroom, no college degree, and was the CEO of Goldman Sachs for a couple decades. That's right. There's just a ton of people, a ton of people. And other people that have started companies without a college degree. My God, the list goes on and on. There's Sir Richard Branson, who doesn't have a high school degree even. Love that guy. Bill Gates, of course. Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg. The list goes on and on and on. Yeah. So you don't need a college degree to reach your full potential in life. And I hire a lot of people. And a lot of people I hire don't have a college degree. And I find they're better than the ones that do. That's right. Because they're hungry. Yeah. I know it sounds out there, but that's just what I found. Yeah. And a lot of great companies don't require a university degree anymore to get in. Like IBM, Google, Apple, Wells Fargo, Starbucks, Hilton. There's tons of them. Yeah. And people are starting to realize how much of a joke a lot of universities are. It's a 4-year undergraduate degree costs you $100,000. You have 13 hours of class a week and you learn nothing that you can apply in the real world. And the same thing with business schools. That's why I've started this company. Business schools don't teach you the most important skills, like how to manage your own money. They teach you how to manage other people's money. They also don't teach you how to present. They don't teach you how to interview. They don't teach you how to use social media strategies to take your business to the next level. They don't teach you how to make an amazing business plan. Ask anybody that graduates business school. So do you know how to start a company? And traditional business schools teach you a lot of crap that was relevant maybe last century, literally, like supply and demand graphs and statistics. And it's ridiculous. You can't apply half that stuff in the real world anyway, which is why I started my company, what I'm doing here. my Haroun Education Ventures MBA degree program. Yeah. Okay. And Asamina is saying, I still laugh like that. I had people slap me so I can breathe again. And then Noah is saying, hey, Chris, hope you're having a great day. Likewise, every day is a great day. I just wanted to say your Udemy courses are my favorite thing ever. Thank you. As a 16-year-old, what is the best thing I can do to start making money right now? Yeah, thank you for that. Appreciate it. I would start teaching online. I know that sounds simplistic, but you probably played Fortnite, right? Like my kids play Fortnite. I have a 16-year-old as well, Andrew, who's really into Fortnite. He's playing Madden again now. He likes football. But there's a guy named Ninja. And what he did, and let me go here to Udemy. So if I go Ninja, Udemy. So he started out teaching on Udemy before he started doing Twitch. And he taught a course on streaming and how to grow your channel. And so I think that everybody has got something to teach. And when one teaches, two learn. So I think a great side hustle for you would be teaching. Yes, you do have something you can teach. My 13-year-old, he's 14 now, Matthew, he actually teaches, or he doesn't teach. He actually, he started a business. He's made a lot of money actually using Twitch. And all he does is he plays Clash of Clans. That's it. And he bought his own equipment himself. He saved enough money for it. I'm proud of him. He's done a great job. But he's passionate about it. Just do what you're passionate about. Yeah. And you probably follow a lot of YouTubers that inspire you. You know, and keep doing that because you're basically getting an MBA in marketing by watching these YouTubers, you know, TikTok people, whatever it is. Yeah. So just teach whatever you're most passionate about. If you have a cell phone and internet access, which you do, you can teach. And what you can do, if you want to learn how to teach online, I have free courses for you right here. Anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. So go to my website, harounventures.com/all lowercase free. And here are 2 courses for you that are free. So I have 2 courses. One is called 40 Tips on Making a Great Online Course. And this will take you to Udemy's page. Yeah. And then that's part 1. And then I have another one called another 40 Tips on How to Make a Great Online Course. It's 5 hours in total. It's free. And this is 80 mistakes I've made from teaching online. So I can help you work smarter and not harder by learning from my mistakes. So again, it's harounventures.com/free, all lowercase, to take these courses. Yeah. All right, cool. Oh, dude, Scott Duffy on the call. Scott, how are you, man? Dude, Scott is so awesome. Okay, Scott is a fellow Canadian. He's the first teacher I ever met at Udemy. Scott, I met you, I think it was the first Udemy Live in the summer 2016. And you were on a panel and you were so well-spoken, sitting next to Rob Percival, who's also a rock star. Scott, I love you, brother. I hope you're doing well. And great to hear from you, man. Lots of love from one Canadian to another. Cool. Scott's a good guy. And if you guys want to learn about cloud computing, you got to take courses from Scott. Scott's the bomb. I'll show you. So he's an expert in all cloud computing, especially Microsoft Azure. And he explains how to embrace Microsoft cloud technologies better than anybody on the planet. And I'm going to, sorry, Scott, I don't mean to embarrass you, but I'm going there. Here we go. So I'm going to go here I'll go to here, and I will go to Udemy, Scott Duffy. Here he is. Yeah, here's Scott here. Great guy. Yeah. And he wrote here, I love making complex technology topics easy to understand. He is a rock star. He is awesome. So he teaches a lot of Microsoft Azure courses. And I signed up for one of his courses, which helped me a lot with my YouTube strategy, actually, and my social media strategy as well. Here it is here. Digital marketing automation. Save time and get more done. I took that course. And Scott, because of you, I actually used TubeBuddy, which has saved me years of my life when it comes to my YouTube strategy. So God bless you, Scott. Great to have you. All right, cool. All right, cool. And thank you for that nice tweet a while back, the whole Evan Kimbrell tweet thing. Thank you. God bless you. All right. Next up, Usman is saying, hey, Chris, how do you handle the lack of market experience question in a new market? Recently, I moved to Toronto, but I'm not getting interviews in the investment banking industry. Yeah. So I would say, I'm sorry for that little joke there. That's called dad humor. Yeah. So here's what I would say. When it comes to a lack of experience, you got to start somewhere, right? Like a lot of people start with internships. And so I think the best thing you can do is when you go into an interview, like an informational meeting, just go in with a mindset of understanding what drives the other person. And most people in business are driven by three things as follows. Number one, they want to make more money. Number two, they want to get promoted faster. And number three, they want to enjoy doing what they're doing from a quality of life, corporate culture perspective. So how can you help them make more money? Well, what you can do is if you're interviewing with somebody in the investment space and they run a fund, a mutual fund, what you can do is you can do a one-page write-up on a stock idea. And I teach about this in my complete financial analyst course. And on that template, it's very simplistic. It's a one-pager that outlines why you should buy a stock. And on that one-pager, we analyze fundamentals, valuation, and technicals. And I provide you with a template and plenty of examples as well. And so you pull out this one-pager when you're in that informational meeting and you share it with them. And at the top, you have your target price on a stock based on your research. Again, I teach you about this in my complete financial analyst course on Udemy. And so I've done that before with interviews. It's helped me out tremendously, even before I had any finance experience. You know, every battle is won before it's been fought. And so I would show up to interviews with at least 10 write-ups in my bag. And whenever the portfolio manager would ask about a certain sector, I would pull out a write-up in that sector. Okay. And I talk about my target price in the company. You don't have to be right. You just have to sound logical. So that's what I recommend doing. And if you're trying to get a job in sales, then I recommend a commensurate approach. So you show up to the meeting and you bond with them. Always bond before business. Talk about what you have in common. And then what you then do is you help them with their business. How do you help them make money? Well, maybe what you do is you get a list of 5 potential customers that could be customers for this salesperson. And maybe you go out and network and meet them first. And you write it down that one page you give them. Who does that in a sales meeting? You're helping them in their career. Are they going to hire you? Hopefully. If not, ask them, do you know of anybody else that might be hiring? They're going to help you, man. They're going to walk through walls for you because you've done the same for them. You've helped them. Give and you receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. In terms of how to help other people in other roles, if it's somebody in operations, maybe you beta test a cool new app that will help them streamline their business operations. And you show it to them as well. Maybe you do a one-pager on it as well. And you talk about the strengths and weaknesses of that new app or product. Or maybe bring your laptop and show them a sample of how you use that product. And you can share Wi-Fi from your cell phone as well for a hotspot to show them. If it's somebody in HR, maybe you show them a really cool new HR application, something that competes with LinkedIn, for example, to help them, find the right people for their company, or a cool new website similar to Glassdoor, for example. There's lots of ways to add values, and every battle is won before it's been fought. Create these one-pagers before you go to these meetings and pull them out of your bag after you bond with them and impress them. Nobody does that. But if you do that, I promise you, if you do that enough times, rinse, lather, repeat, you will get the job of your dreams. Okay. All right. Next question is, give me 1 second to take a little break here. All right, next question is from Ayush, who's saying, how do you invest in ETFs, and is it worth it? Yeah. So let me first of all explain what an ETF is. So we buy mutual funds, and mutual funds is just a collection of stocks that somebody selected. And mutual funds, 90% of them underperform ETFs. And so an ETF means an exchange traded fund. And all it is a collection of stocks that represents an index. And the fees are very low because you don't have to pay, highly overeducated people to pick stocks for you, because it just mirrors a fund. So let me show you an example. All right. So there's the S&P 500. So if you go with me to finance.yahoo.com and don't ever pay for any investment advice, please, or subscription services, even on Yahoo here, don't do premium. But if you go here and you type in SPY, SPY is an example of an exchange traded fund. And so the SPY represents the Standard & Poor's 500 index. The first thing you want to do is go to profile, and you'll see here that you only pay 0.09% per year to hold this fund. Mutual funds charge you 3%, 4%, and 5%, plus much more in taxes, because they buy and sell all year long. And if you make money in a short amount of time, you pay higher capital gains taxes. Governments like to reward you for being a long-term patient investor. If you hold something for more than a year, you pay less in taxes. And so ETFs usually own stocks for more than a year, unless they rebalance, which I can talk about if you want me to. So if you go to the holdings here, you'll see the breadth and depth of what the S&P 500 is, which represents the U.S. Stock market, NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange, 25% of which is tech. And then the next biggest component is healthcare at 14%. It's getting bigger because of COVID. Then you can see here the top 10 holdings. And so Amazon, Microsoft, Microsoft, Amazon, and eventually the Google entities, and then big insurance company called Berkshire. That's basically what it is. Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, Visa, etc. And so this is an ETF. Now, you can get an ETF for every country. So, for example, Canada, you type in the EWC, okay? And this here is an ETF, exchange traded fund for Canada. And this is a little bit less liquid. It trades a little bit less. So the fees are going to be higher than 0.09%, but still pretty low. So the fees here are less than 0.5%. It's pretty good. So if we look at what's in this EWC index, which represents Canada, we can see Canada is a very natural resources rich economy, basic materials, and also financial services. There's 5 big banks in Canada that basically have the lion's share market share, and they're all over the world as well. A very sound financial system. And so if we look at what the components are, we see a tech company called Shopify based in Ottawa. Then you've got a couple of banks here. You got a railway company. You got a pipeline here with Enbridge. You got a commodity company with Barrick Gold, which I invested in years ago. Another energy company, et cetera, et cetera. If you want to invest in other countries, there's an ETF for everything, kind of like there's an app for everything. So you can type up EWZ, which is Brazil. And Brazil is just like Canada to the extent it's a very natural resources rich economy. So you can go down here to find out what the holdings are. And these just mirror stocks that are on the Bovespa, which is the index in Brazil. Yeah, the market. So here is a natural resources company. Here's Petroleum Brazil, which people call Petrobras, and a bunch of other stocks. Yeah. Now, you can also buy index funds that represent commodities or commodity sectors. So the OIH represents the oil drillers, like Transocean, ticker RIG, which is the coolest ticker ever, as well as Baker Hughes and a bunch of others, Schlumberger, yeah, et cetera. Yeah. So these are oil drillers. You can also buy ETFs that represent one commodity, like the GLD, which is how I buy gold. I don't buy gold bars because I don't know if they're real. If you melt it down, I don't know if it's real. But you go here, this is just gold. That's all it is. It's a gold trust, 100% of the assets, which I think my face is covering up here in the corner. Yeah. So that's how I buy gold. Now, in terms of the fees on gold, it's 0.4%. I don't mind paying 0.4% per year. It's not that bad to buy pure gold. And this is very liquid too, meaning you could trade in and out of it if you need to. I'm a long-term investor. You can also do the same thing for silver, SLV, right? And this is just silver, which is like gold, but it's a little bit more cyclical because there's a lot of silver in industrial applications. So there's an ETF for everything. And the best ETF company to check out is one called Vanguard. Vanguard.net, I think. Yeah. Is that the right one? Nope, I'm wrong. Dude, I'm on call 111. I still make mistakes. Vanguard ETF. Spelled it wrong, but it'll correct me here. Here it is here. Vanguard. And so here what you can do is you can invest in a ton of ETFs here, exchange traded funds. And they have bonds as well, which are debt instruments. Stocks, they have every country as well, right? So say you want to invest in just very, very big companies in the United States. You can buy this ETF here. Okay, the ticker is VV, and you can read the investment prospectus or legal stuff here to learn more about it. The ticker is VV. So you can even go back to finance.yahoo.com and go up here and type in VV. And so right here, well, the first thing we do always is we check the fee. The fee here is oh my gosh, that's the lowest I've ever seen, 0.04%. That's Vanguard rocks, man. Okay, and let's see what's in VV. Well, what's in VV are just very, very big American companies. It kind of looks like the top 10 holdings of the Standard & Poor's indexes as well, except Tesla is here too. Yeah, large cap. Yeah, amazing. So anyway, hopefully that helps you out when it comes to exchange traded funds. If you have additional questions, please let me know, and thank you as always. Okay, next up, we got a question from Alan, who's saying, hi, Chris, a follow-up to Kieran's question. I saw an online MBA school using your introduction to finance, which I almost enrolled in because of you. Good thing I found your MBA program. Yeah, no, guys, please let me know. Let me know, because I don't want anybody charging you for what I sell you. Plus, with mine, you can get 100% money back guarantee. Let me know their names and everything, okay? And it said it also features other Udemy instructors. I saw something like that in Singapore, I think. So I don't know if that's legit or not. It might be a customer, I don't know, of Udemy for Business. But send me it, Alan, and whoever else sees this, send it to me over LinkedIn, please. Just LinkedIn message me, and I'll look into it. And thank you for letting me know about this. And every now and then, I do find people that are trying to take my stuff and sell it, and that's not cool. Yeah. But thank you. Please let me know. Thanks. And I have everything copyrighted too and trademarked, so I can go after them. And what I've done before is you can send cease and desist letters, but usually I keep it pretty simplistic by sending them an email or an email, whatever. And all I write in it is, hope all is well. Do I need to have my lawyer contact you? That's all I write. And usually they take it down. Yeah. And if not, I do other things too. Yeah. And YouTube is great about this too. There's been, and I only find out about this from my wonderful students, so thank you. People have copied a lot of my stuff on YouTube. And then what I've done is I've contacted YouTube, and YouTube takes the stuff down immediately, which is great. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, but please send me a LinkedIn email, please. Thank you. All right, cool. All right. And then give me 1 second, guys. Sorry, guys. 1 second. All right. Thanks. Thanks, guys. All right. Cool. And then Scott is saying, did you hire someone to build this studio for you, or did you build it all yourself? Yeah. I love the questions. Thanks, Scott. So I actually, I did it myself with Matt Lacus. So Matt is this great guy who used to be my son's golf teacher. And I talked to him about green screens and stuff one day for 30 seconds when I went to see him teaching Dylan, my son. And then I basically hired him on the spot. And I haven't looked back. And so he's helped me actually build out this room. So together we did it. And Scott, I made so many mistakes, brother, until I met Matt. Yeah, but it's gotten a lot better. And I had no idea what I was doing at first, Scott. Like, so what I did was, like when I recorded some courses before I met Matt, I bought this Canon C300 camera. And I know you partner with Phil Ebener, who's the best video teacher on the planet. And I didn't really know how to use it. And so I pulled a lot of strings, and a buddy of mine knows Mark Zuckerberg's videographer. And so I had this dude come over to my house, and he set everything up for me. And then I just I left. I was so scared to touch the camera, right? I just turned it on and off, but I wouldn't touch anything about it. And I was so intimidated, man, about going off the auto mode in any camera. And I was so frustrated. Eventually, I just taught myself all that stuff, which is how I made that. I made some video course, whatever, on Udemy, and obviously Phil runs circles around me. This guy, Matt, is awesome. But for COVID reasons, I never see him. It's hard. It's hard. Yeah. But no, it's trial and error. Mostly error on my part. Yeah. Yeah. But Scott, what I did was I actually use I use pedals here, and you're a techie too, so you'll appreciate this. You run circles around me with tech stuff. But I have pedals here that I just click on. And then also, whenever I'm looking at all the questions here through a teleprompter, and I use pedals as well to when I'm making my Udemy courses as well. And then also pedals here with this stuff on the back. Yeah, which is fun, man. It's fun. And I got this monitor here that's just, it's a matte monitor as well. So it's anti-reflective from all camera angles, as you can see here. Okay, hopefully I'm not making people dizzy. Yeah. But Scott, what we did was we put, everything is either on the ceiling or on wheels. And the floor here is pretty messy, to be intellectually honest. What you see is a little bit neater here. But what I also did was, and Matt Lacousse helped me with this, he's awesome, was we put bars up on the ceiling. And let me show you, actually. Let me tilt the camera up, and I'll have to talk loud because the microphone stuff. But we put bars up on the ceiling here. You see there? Yeah. So we put bars up, and they're actually drilled into the beams on the ceiling. It's like Mario Brothers, like the pipe everywhere. And then there's also the sound tiles up in the ceiling, so everything is hung from up top. And there's tons of bars as well. And these here, Scott, these are poles right here. And the poles are all mechanical, so I can have things drop down like a green screen, etc. Different layers, and then a bunch of lights, and that's timer for one-on-ones with students, and all that stuff there. Yeah. So let me just go down here. There we go, a little bit more. Yeah, and I've got one-on-ones this afternoon with my MBA students. That's why there's the timer up there as well. Yeah. But I had fun. And Scott, what I recommend, dude, is check out these lights here, man. They're called aperture lights, and they're awesome. They're awesome. And the battery lasts forever. I got them plugged into USB here as well. But they're great. And they work with Wi-Fi. So everything I've got, I do it with Wi-Fi as well, or Bluetooth, right? All my lights as well. So I can control everything sitting down, because it's always just me here when I'm teaching here and teaching live and doing these webcasts. Yeah. So I can control it here. I can add a little bit more drama and change them around here. Yeah. But I've made so many mistakes, brother. And then, as Michael Jordan says, I've failed over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. Right. So anyway, or at least Michael Jordan succeeds. Okay. Cool. All right. And then next up, Avi Pro is saying funnels and A/B testing is very strong tools to use in your business as I see it. A long time ago, I learned this from a very nice guy, Corey Rudy, and Leroy, I miss him. Yeah, I think that, I've learned the hard way that you got to work smarter, not harder, by licensing other products from other people. And so, like, for example, I'll show you on my website here. Like, I made my website myself. But if I go to my homepage, everything I've got here, like these things here, and only I see this, not you guys. But I have these little widgets that cost like $10 a month for all this stuff here, right? And this is mobile enabled as well. And I just click on Edit Widget, and it takes me to a website called Elfsight. And then what I do is I could change all of these parameters here automatically here in Elfsight, and it gets reflected immediately on my website, right? So all this stuff, which is awesome. What I also use from Elfsight is for student testimonials, for example. Like all these testimonials you see here, all of these, and these are from a lot of my MBA students, and you can contact them over LinkedIn, whatever, if you want to ask feedback. But basically, all these here are also from Elfsight, right here, Edit Widget. You know, so, and even up here, and I believe in automation, and Scott Duffy actually had a big impact on my thought process here with a great course he teaches on automation with Phil Ebner. But the same thing with my webcasts, like all of them get automatically added here as well using a widget. So I don't have anybody, there's my son Dylan and my kitty cat. All of them are here. And the same thing also with my daily vlogs. They're all added here as well using this little widget here. So I don't have to actually have any employees do this. So I believe in having very few employees and automating everything I can possibly automate. Yeah. Because I think kind of like with Amazon. So Jeff Bezos has this rule. It's called the 2 pizza rule, where you're not allowed to have a meeting that has more than 2 pizzas. Because as we all know in school and in work, if you have a group meeting with too many people, it's chaos. It's chaos. So anyway, I keep my team small and I automate most things. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Asamina is saying, I'm going to switch to my phone because Psyche needs to go on her walk, your dog. Very cool. Very cool. And I hope you're feeling better as well. I know you mentioned that you were quarantined for a while. You moved countries, and you mentioned that publicly on my open house, I think, a couple weeks ago. Yeah. So lots of love to you from here. Next up, Manos is saying, can I use your schedule for one of my courses? I'll surely give you 100% credit for it. So the one you can use if you want to is this one here. It's a lot easier, Manas, and I'll show you. So if you go to my website, harounventures.com, and then you type in schedule, all lowercase, and anybody can download this too. This here is a schedule, one of the earlier ones I use. It's kind of a non-premium version, this one here. So I would, and it's just PowerPoint based. I would use this one. I recommend this one. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for asking. All right. All right. Next up. And then looks like that it's 11 o'clock, guys. So unfortunately, I got to wrap this up. I'm so sorry. So I've got my MBA degree student office hours for my platinum and gold students starting at 11:15. I got to get ready for that. And then I've got a bunch of one-on-one meetings with them, hence the timer up here. So, and if there are questions that you all have, and I won't be able to get to all of them here, I'm so sorry, just copy them and paste them, and I'll answer them next week. And so if you subscribe to my vlog, I'll see you every day at 9 a.m. Pacific time, which is when my vlogs drop on YouTube. Otherwise, God bless you all. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And I'll see you next Thursday and every Thursday forever, starting at 8 a.m. my time. One last thing is this. Within 24 hours of this call being completed, somebody on my team is going to go into the description fields and add all the questions people asked So you can click on them and get immediate access to the answer, so I can save you time. So, and if you haven't checked out my MBA degree program, if you're interested, please go to harounmba.com. Thanks again, everybody. And again, have a great weekend. Thanks for your time. Thank you.